Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappleville. Check this out. With Saturn basically out of the way, except there might be some stuff that I do on the rings down here. We're going to start working on Io. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing here. Here, let me show you Mars. So in some ways, it's not going to be all that different either, Armored Wolf. Not super different than this, but the colors, as you can see from the reference down there. And I'm pretty sure this is, let me just check here. Ah, look at this. Look at that, huh? It's not even been 24 hours, and yeah, look at that. That's the radiance in the fast mat for you. Holy smokes. Hey there, Landrast. Yeah, I was just saying, this is, sure looks dry to me. Be a little bit different if that was regular titanium white, wouldn't it, Landrast? Yeah, we'd be doing this tap test on Monday going, oh man, geez, it's still wet. So those radiants and such, not too shabby. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. So this is a. So we could mess around with this here too. Yeah, Landrest, it would be quite the mess, wouldn't it? So that worked out better than I thought. I was really not sure what the heck to expect on that. But now we're going to be doing some I/O here. This should be very interesting. Now let me see if I can find. I'm just going to get. There we go. This is going to be real interesting here because lots of crazy, crazy, crazy colors. So Landrest, I hope that you're doing okay. I'm guessing that you guys didn't get a chance to hang out and do any games or anything like that. You know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna start lighter. I want to start lighter with some radiant stuff. That's precision. There's some precision terms for you, right, Landrest? I'm starting with radiant stuff. I'm also going to get some more of the thinner in there too. And I'm just going to start plopping this stuff around. It's going to be like the anti-pre-glaze. Look at this. Look at all this precision brush work here, man. Yeah, you don't get this anywhere else, do you? Not so much. Now, let me start playing around with oh good, this brown manner's still going to work. This is going to look even crazier than usual, I think, Landrast. Well, I don't know. Can it really be that much crazier? Oh, hey, Landrast, guess what? Printed out. Hey, Halligan, how you doing? So, Landrast, I got the, well, now, we'll see if they crack or anything like that. But I do have that Chimera printed out, and now I've got all the build plates constructed for that, all that Chaos Dwarf stuff. Thank you so much, Halligan. Appreciate that. So Halligan, sorry that about the back thing. And was it 2.5 hours? You say? Hey, Nurgle Matthew, how you doing? Happy? It's not quite Sunday morning yet. Not here anyway. Hey, Lamaness. Sorry that it's so much later. I was really hoping it would be sooner, but actually, it wasn't the. How shall we say? It wasn't the worst of the treatment side effect days where just I think I shot you a message there. Not quite sure if it's the. I think it must be all of those factors working together. Now more like 1.5 hours then. So Halligan, those files. Now of course we'll see how they are as far as printing wise. Are they all that good? We'll find out when we try them. But there's definitely some Laughley's in there that I gotta have some of those. So Lumines, yeah, I'm hoping to get some of those files into the Google Drive here because there's just a bunch. I just have to locate the darn things first. Oh, you know what? We're gonna go bonkers. So we're even gonna throw a little bit of a violet in here too. Yeah, some more over there, and then back to Rosa, like this. Just throwing a little bit here, a little bit there. So, Laminus, I hope that you had yourself a decent Saturday, maybe a great Saturday. And Halligan, oh, and of course, Halligan, when there's more folks here, if you want to post the firefighter bust, that you showed me. I know you posted it in the chat the other day when you were here. So Nurgle Matthew clearly in that Eastern time zone. Says it's a happy Sunday there. So happy Sunday morning to you, Nurgle Matthew. So yeah, this thing is basically dry now. That's really cool. So it does mean that I could come back to this and play around with some of those rings and, well, do some of the stuff that we did here, right? Just for funsies. Oh yeah, Nurgle Matthew, didn't you mention that you had been kind of looking forward to that for a wee while, hadn't you? I'm glad that was fun. Yeah, no, I remember you mentioned that, and you were looking forward to that a while ago, actually. That's very cool. Yeah, Halligan. I wonder. Now, did it just it never worked for you at all, or did it kind of work for a bit and then stop? I mean, that's where we were at with the Meloxicam stuff, sadly. But yeah, all the subtleties that you had on that bust, Halligan, that was really fantastic. There was some nifty greens in there, or you wouldn't expect the greens, because color surprises, right? Can't go wrong with a few little color surprises here and there. So never, even from the beginning. We're still trying to figure out, I mean, is it really doing something? Hey, is there a Blades in the house? I think there is. So Blades, thank you so much. So, actually, Kathy had, I think I sent you a picture of those. Oh, it was the truffles. Was it the raspberry truffles, or was it, I think it was the raspberry truffles. So actually she ate some of those this morning. She was kind of scrounging around for something because, of course, taste things are just completely wacky and bonkers, especially in this first week. So she actually ate some of those earlier today. So thank you so much for those. All right, so we're just starting to, we're playing out a few little different colors here. We're starting with the lighter stuff first, then we're going to start working into some of the darker stuff. Now, let me get, oh, look at this. We're just going to grab some green over here. And I mean, like, phthalo green. Look at this. Hey, Leopard Pixie, thank you so much. Well, how are you doing? Well, see, I could use a little more green. Oh, let's just go bonkers here. Let's go crazy. Let's throw some more green in there. Look at that. Look at that green right next to all that brown matter. Some of the yellow. Sure enough. So Leopard Pixie, we've had a... Well, look at this. We're getting to have quite the little solar system right here. And of course, well, we had a lot of fun painting these. Who knows? I might try to paint Meduseld Monday. Is that going to be it, Landrest? Meduseld Monday. I think so. Maybe we'll paint this here on Monday on one of those flat ornaments. I think that needs to happen. Hey, Hannah, welcome back. And Dano, holy smokes, Dano, how you doing? Of course, Dano, I was telling Kathy about your the Dreadnought story. Yeah, the Dreadnought story. Told her all about that. She said, "Yep." Mm-hmm. Is there a Megan in the house? There is a Megan. Boy, Megan, it's kind of funny when you said that. I thought, well, people have been asking me to paint Zombicide figures in oils, but I didn't expect your autocorrect to go there. That's a very politically correct autocorrect. Oh, it's an incorrect autocorrect. There you go. That's yeah, Dano. That reeked of a little bit of malarkey there, shall we say? Just a wee bit of malarkey. So okay, we're throwing a little bit of everything here, and this is pretty darn light. This is actually very light. We're also see, we're doing a little bit of blending right here. So nice to see everybody again. Sorry that it's so darn late here. Yeah, it's 11:05 here after midnight for all our East Coast friends. Of course, Dano says, "Huh, I got you beat." We're well into Sunday here. And of course, Dano, if you want to share those links. Oh, hey, Dano, have you ever? Oh gosh, and Megan, same thing. Because Kathy asked me if I asked you guys this. Have you looked to see if Cool Mini or not still does those stupid auction credits? Because you can actually post your miniature on Cool Mini or not. Now, well, you can still post it there, but back in the day, you could actually buy some credit. They were like 50 cents a credit or something like that. And basically, what it would do is feature your auction. It didn't matter what the score was on your miniature, but it would feature your auction because you paid for it. So I don't know if that's something that's still a thing. Again, I haven't tried to do that in many years, but who knows? Maybe they still do something like that. Of course, obviously, Facebook. You don't want to do Facebook groups. Yeah, they get all persnickety now. How dare you try to make a living on our precious site? Now let's start to throw some more orangey things in here, shall we? Terra Rosa. Indian yellow, that'll do some orange. Bingo, there we go. Not everywhere, just a few places here. So Dano, yeah, that's something that you used to be able to do. That's how we got our start, really, was doing that sort of thing. Yeah, so Halligan, well, there's some folks here in the chat. If you wanted to, again, show off the fireman bust there, that would be fantastic. Now, some of these will, well, like I said, once we start doing the actual caldera on these things, it'll start to make a little more sense. Right now, it just kind of, it's looking like a semi-rotten peach. Holy smokes, is that... no way, Leopard Pixie, they still do that? After all this time? Well, I'll be jiggered. Look at that. They still do it after all this time. Thanks for finding that, Leopard Pixie. Appreciate that. Ooh, yeah. Boom, we'll do that there. I'm just going to start finding some areas of calderas here. Well, that's inflation for you, right, Leopard Pixie? That's a little bit of inflation for you, but, well, let's put it this way. If we featured an auction, that thing would get 5 to 7 times the amount of views or hits or whatever you want to call it. That's something that wasn't featured. And here's the thing, you don't have to buy it for every single auction. You get it for 1 or 2, right? Because you just want to get them there. You just want to get them in the door. They look around, maybe they see something else they like. So that might be an option for you. So it's called Cool Mini or Not. So Laminus, thanks again for being here. So yeah, Laminus, I told Kathy, well, our little conversation about it's a lot easier to get the printer going or have a printer do something if it's actually hooked up and to electricity and not still in a box. So I'm going to give that a try, not tomorrow, but maybe Monday, because she might be more self-sufficient by Monday, hopefully. So thanks, Leopard Pixie, for finding that. Really appreciate that. So Laminate, there is room on that table. The thing is, okay, I have to take some stuff down to make room for that, and then really mess around with outlets. I'm also going to have to buy some, I think I'm going to have to get some trays that I can use for kind of controlling things like the resin after I pull things out of off the build plate and such. So I think we're going to have to snag some trays that have some lips on them so that that's not going to get all over the place. There we go. So everybody, please check out Halligan's link. That firefighter is a really fantastic looking bust. And, oh, hey Megan, why don't you post your link tree? I know it's kind of early in the stream, but it's late for you. So why don't you post your link tree there so that, speaking of the eBay things, and of course, Dano, if you want to post your Cults 3D, not My Mini Factory, Cults 3D. So actually, Luminous, believe it or not, I have in my Amazon cart some of those that I had. Well, actually, I have one sitting next to me right here. It ended up just being used for painted miniatures, so that I could have them next to me. But its original purpose actually was for the printing area. So I'll just get some more of those. Kago, how you doing? Nice to see you. Oh no, that was just okay. That was an autocorrect thing. Never mind. Never mind. Ignore me. Just pay no attention to that person who has no idea what they're saying. I think we're caught up. So thanks again, Leopard Pixie, for finding that link, because it really did help us back in the day. And now it could again be helpful, especially for folks that are trying to navigate the whole eBay stuff. So maybe give that a shot. Well, Laminessa, one of the things is, as I was doing all these build plates, these things that weren't, it's not like they were too big, right? But like that Taurus, it's going to take at least 3 build plates to do that. This Chimera was 4 at about, I don't want to say about 5.5 hours a piece. So again, not that it's gigantic, but it would reduce the amount of build plates. Again, just throwing some of this crazy quilt of colors out here. Let me grab some here. Let's throw some of this in here. Never know what's going to happen on IO, do ya? Probably going to look like moldy cheese right now or something like that. Oh yeah, that's right, the fabulous Dwarven bust, Dano. I always keep forgetting about that. Sorry. I always forget about the Dwarven bust. 10 build plates. Holy, and that's with this smaller stuff being taken care of. Holy smokes. Yeah, Laminez. I mean, again, I can only hope that the Anycubic behaves, and that the Anycubic likes the gray resin as much as the Frozen seems to like it. Now, of course, Hannah says, I kind of forgot that moons are made of cheese. You know, forget the whole methane and water ice and all that kind of stuff. They are all made of cheese. So that says to me that all of those space vehicles and exploratory missions, yeah, that's all just a bunch of malarkey there. It's already cheese. We know that. So where are all those millions of dollars actually going? We know what's there. It's just cheese. Yet somehow millions and billions of dollars spent on space exploration. Well, Halligan, I'm glad that you can make use of that. Now, it is kind of nice, though, right? Just being able to pull it out of the box, slap some primer on, and just paint it, right? Well, Hannah, I mean, the tinfoil hat works just fine. You know, aluminum is not really a very conductive material, so it's not like, you wear that in the cold, you're going to get cold or anything. Yeah, so you should be just fine. Should be just fine. So Leopard Pixie, to me, the kind of the top of the line one really is Make It Epic. That's Make It Epic basing. However, I think it's either Goon Master Games or Goon Monster Games. They also have some really good stuff. You'll want to shrink those down. They have some really good things, stuff that Make It Epic does not have. And then, of course, there's Pelennor. That stuff is all free, but just keep in mind that it's not quite the same resolution as, say, Make It Epic or Goon Monster Games. Halligan, for me, I mean, it's vital. There's no way we would cease to exist without that thing. That has been absolutely essential. For other folks, maybe not so much. Oh, Megan, do I have it here where I can actually reach the darn thing? Of course I don't. I thought I did. But, so typical cavalry unit right here. These 4 guys go down inside that square base. But I really thought I had this out for you. Now the heroes, see, this is a little bit different. See, they don't go on a movement tray, but it sounds like he doesn't need any of those. Now, somewhere over here, let me see if I've got these guys. Well, let me see if I can... Are these also heroes? Yep, those are heroes, so never mind. That's not going to work either. I thought I had brought those in here to show you, but apparently... Oh, they're in the living room. I can see them now. Hey there, Falling Freely. Nice to see you again. Everybody please give Falling Freely a follow because follows are free. Yeah, see, I did it again. Now, don't ask me to do that again, and definitely don't ask me to do that any faster because that ain't going to happen. So everybody please give Falling Freely a follow. So Falling Freely, check it out. This was last night. There you go, there's Saturn. And then here's Mars. Did this a couple days before that. Now, of course, we'll have to certainly do... There you are. Jupiter. It goes with Io, of course. And, well, there's another... Oh, and there's Earth. This is what we're going to be doing on New Year's Eve. So, Fallen Freely, nice to see you again. And, hey, if you wanted to post any links to stuff that you've been doing on the streams, you want to post those in the chat. You know, that's always very cool. So you can see how we're setting this up. We started out darker, or lighter, then we got darker. We'll be coming back in here with some of that white sulfur type material. Now this doesn't have any sulfur in it, thank goodness. Thank you so much, Halligan. We don't mind a little bit of that, do we? I mean, of course, we don't enjoy this. It's just medicine. We don't enjoy it at all. Oh, now Monday, again, thanks so much to Megan for finding these. What we're going to do is we're going to paint Medjugorje. It's going to be Medjugorje Monday. So we're going to paint that on one of these flatter ones right here because that would be really fun. I think so. Oh, I think that would be very, very fun. So again, we're just going to do a little bit of taking our blending brush here, building things up. Now let's get to some of the darker calderas. Which one of these? I'm going to use this one here. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds quite acceptable there, Halligan. It really does. Well, Laminest, ooh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, that sounds really, really amazing. Oh, hey, Laminest, I meant to just send you a message about this, but so using the resin to attach things together, go really, really, really light on that because obviously I'm just thinking about curing resin, right, that's in between 2 opaque pieces and getting the curing light down in there. So is it something that I should just use as a gap filler as opposed to try and use it as a glue, so to speak? It just occurred to me, and I just thought, well, Laminus is right here. I could just send you a message about it, but I could just also ask you about it right here. So Megan, thanks again for finding those. It just never occurred to me to look for flat ones. I just kept thinking about, well, the round ones. And then you sent those, and I went, oh, yeah, should have thought of these. Should have thought of those right away. So yeah, Laminus, once we're past all of the ornaments and Christmas gifts and everything else, we're certainly gonna have to, well, get that. I think the dragon. I really want to try and at least do the video on that. You know, testing out, can I use the resin as a gap filler on that? I think that could be a cool video for folks. Now again, we have all this. It's almost like a purplish white, so it's going to be essentially radiant violet that's going to go in there. Yeah, Lamines, I haven't worn gloves filming a video in a long time, probably almost 2+ years. We're going to be wearing gloves. Yeah, we're going to wear some gloves for that process, don't you think? It'll probably be the somewhat safer plan, do something like that. Yeah, well, Laminus, since it cures pretty darn quickly, makes sense, right? Like you say, do it in little bursts here and there. Oh, I guess I think remember me asking you if since the green stuff world resin. Oh, look at this. See how I'm able to kind of take down some of the edge there. Since that actually smokes when you hit it with the UV light, I'll be very curious to see if the. I don't think it will, but just curious to see if the printing resin might do that. So Lamines, I'll try to keep that in mind when we're doing our video test there. Again, we'll see how that's going to work. I have all the things that you sent, and I've actually, well, now I've got that that Chimera printed out, so we could try that. And it would also be, some would be the smoky black, some would be your resin, some would be the gray. So I think we have a variety of resin now. All right, look at this. See, we're starting to mark out where some of our little cold air are going to be. Okay. Yeah, you know, well, that was that was my next question, Laminas. Was that a little bit of cheaty there? And they're just getting some clear. It'd be funny if it was clear simple, wouldn't it, Laminas? I see. I like that little bit of green right there. Essentially, when you see all of these different colors on Io, you're looking at different chemical makeup. Some part is more sulfur, some part more methane, some part more hydrogen. It's a bit like a spectrum. It's like a spectrum moon. Look at how nice and easy it is. What are we, 28 minutes into this thing? 28 minutes in. So Halligan, I'm really looking forward to. I think, well, what is it, $90 for the entire collection of the French files. I think I'm just gonna have to start out with the Lafleys, the Samoa, and the Hotchkiss. The Samoa because, well, you saw the Samoa. I painted a couple of those. One last time I painted one was on Facebook Live. Now Halligan, ooh, sorry my ignorance, of course. Which faction are the Hedge Knights from? Those they're not Lannisters, are they? They're not Baratheons. So Hannah, obviously, I believe it rates as the most, not just the most volcanic world in the solar system, but orders of magnitude. It's like if you were to take the next 2 or 3 combined, still not as volcanic as this. Because the tidal forces, you got Jupiter, and then of course all the other Galilean moons. So you got 3 other big moons, plus, well, big honkin' Jupiter, basically stretching and pulling this thing. So it pretty much remakes the surface every few months, practically. Yeah, you know, oh, hey, Laminessa, I did get a file. Basically, sort of like a Lady of the Lake or a water nymph file or something like that. Another thing where I could maybe try to do the clear, the simple clear, with the 405 light and see what happens. Ah, so they're just on their own. Okay. Yeah, Halligan, I've got all of the new Martel Cavalry like I was talking about, and I'm going to use the, oh gosh, the palm fronds and palm trees, not palm frites. That that would be more like if I was in Toronto, you would have palm frites there, wouldn't you say there, Blades? All right, well, Leopard Pixie, thank you so much for being here, and Leopard Pixie, thanks for finding that link for Dano potentially and Megan. Really appreciate that. So Leopard Pixie, hopefully I can see you again maybe Monday. I'm hoping to do a more earlier time frame, more like our usual Monday. So yeah, and even these crazy, like you say, it's almost a little bit like an onion ring. Oh, speaking of onion rings, speaking of which, there's one, and I think we'll do this one here. Let's get really some serious orange going on here. There we go. There you are. Io basically just looks like a giant pizza. Now, of course, it's not as good as a Mitza, which, of course, the last version of the Mitza that was sent this way had 7 different meats on there. Canadian bacon was one of them. More meats, more better. That's what we say here. Now, Halligan, I think, what was the most recent one? Oh, it was the swordsman, the neutral swordsman. What the hell? Oh, the Bolton. Well, Golden Company swordsman. I think that was Army Painting Series 33. Yeah, I think that was Series 33. This is going to be a basing video. Because I want to do 2 units. And then we can paint those up, most of them on stream. And then we'll paint some of them up as tutorial videos. Oh, look at this. Look at that. That's so much fun. Yes, falling freely. So the palm frites are the fries. Oh, hey, Blades, what is the... And of course, Kathy just mentioned what it was earlier today. In Canada, it's a very popular thing. It's kind of like cheese. You got your fries, you got your cheese, you got some other stuff. What is that called again? The pooled up resin expands when you cure it. So Lamines, what I was hoping to do was use it for falling water and water splashes. I mean, obviously we do that with the. Do I have that easily available here? Too hard to reach here. But that's what I like to use for, as we get some of our orange out here, I really like to use that for water splashes, the heavy gloss gel. There you go, Luminous Poutine, that's it. I can never think of that. So hey, Blades, if you have any like recipes that you prefer, I mean, obviously you can Google that and do whatever, but if you can maybe say, all right, look, that's kind of silly, try this recipe instead. I've never had it either, but cheesy fries, I mean, I've had those at, well, I think, what was the place? I can't remember what it, but cheesy fries. Nothing wrong with cheesy fries. Throw some bacon in there. Throw some onions in there. More cheese. More meats. Maybe some chili. Also some olives. So shredded cheese and gravy on the top. JD, nice to see you. So, yeah, so poutine, I might have to give that a little bit of a try. Of course, let me get this going here. Cheese curds are really, really, really popular here in the Midwest. I love the heck out of cheese curds. Alright, so green onion, bacon, cheese gravy. So I'm gonna have to axe the first thing for myself. Kathy would love the first thing because she's all about the sour cream. She loves that. So if I made the poutine for Kathy, would I have to include that? Yeah, let's just chuck some of this in here. Now, actually, hey, so Megan, I'll have to send you some pictures that someone sent me, because they have all these kittens in the house that are just, I don't know, they're maybe 8 weeks old now, possibly. Maybe not even, maybe just 6 or 7 weeks old. But there's like 8 of them all climbing the Christmas tree at the same time. Oh my gosh. They basically just look like Christmas ornaments. Falling freely, I don't think I've ever been in a Culver's. They do have them around here. But in our neighborhood, you don't really have fast food places. Well, they're family owned. They're not going to be chain places like that. Alright, so that's filled in now. And now we're going to do some, look at how beat up that brush is. Just perfect. Hey there, AD. Nice to see you again. Everybody please give AD Creations a follow. So yeah, Blades, I don't think I've ever had that. Again, around here, chain restaurants are kind of, people are most likely going to go to a family-owned place that's just right here in the neighborhood. Not so much well, even, I guess Portillo's you could say is a chain. And sometimes even around here, Portillo's is considered a bit of a, foreign entity. Let me see. So AD, oh, look at this. I took a piece of plastic card and stuck it on one of these ornaments here. Just wasn't sure if it was going to work, and it actually worked out just fine. Painted that last night. And here's Mars. Here's Mars. Okay, so Halligan, that is part of, believe it or not, that's actually part of the same thing as those, the Golden Company. Remember the Oliphant that we did? Oh, here he is. There's the Oliphant. So this is also considered neutral right here. So, that's really cool, Halligan. That's very cool. Yeah, falling freely, I always did enjoy the Polish sausage. Kathy actually now sometimes say that the day before she's going to get one of her treatments, that's about when her sense of taste and her stomach is going to be the most normal. And she'll have one of those on that Tuesday night. It's sort of a Last Supper sort of a thing. And she'll have, and onion rings. Now, she enjoyed their lemon cake as well. Now, see, the one by us also has a Barnelli's attached to it. And I have to say, I'm kind of a fan of the Barnelli's, that's for sure. Ah, that's cool. I know AD, you said you've been working on those for weeks now, right? Your ornaments? And of course, AD, you want to share any links in the chat there? Some of your fabulous sculpts. Oh, wait, let's get back to the Seer Egyptian Violet. Let's not forget that. So Dano, you might not have heard about the new resin that I found. It's a new version of the Soraya Simple. I know I included it in the latest printing video as we get more of our darks right there. I think it's time to start putting in some of our lights. But yes, there is a new resin in town. You know what? Instead of thinning this down, I'm going to go... Yeah, we're going to go... maybe not that heavy. It's thin. Let's get a little bit of that paint off of that brush. And now let's really get into some of our... Oh, yeah, there we go. There we are. So this is what really should get this looking like Io over here. So Dano, someone in the chat was very kind and they said, hey, did you see this? There's a new Soraya Simple resin. It's called Gray. Yeah, if you check out the latest printing video, talks all about that. Essentially, it is the go-to resin for almost everything. Not quite everything, but almost everything. Now we're going to go pretty close to these, because essentially this is basically a field of sulfur right here. Now we're going to do that. We're going to bring a blending brush. Yeah, there you are. But it has the, say, the weather advantages of the smoky black, but the supports come off of it way easier. I can actually pull the supports off of really fragile things and not break everything. I still would prefer the smoky black for hollowed out things, because then I can actually see, if all of the resin is out of there and then all of the liquid. Look at that, huh? Really changes that around, doesn't it? Everybody please check out AD Creations links. Please check out all that fabulous sculpted stuff there. Actually, Dano, it might be. I actually can't get the 5-liter container. I can only get 1-liter containers of it here. Look at this. Look at that. See, just letting that mix. Doing all that really fun stuff here. Look at this. Blending brush, right? Blending brush. And this is all just tap, tap, tap. We're not just doing this. We're going straight up and down here. So that is the Soraya Simple Gray. So remember, it's the simple. The only options you should see would be smoky black, clear, and the gray. If you see anything else, or if it says, use anything besides just water and rubbing alcohol, then that is not going to be the same stuff. It could be a little tricksy. Look at that, huh? I have to say, I've been looking forward to painting this one since before we painted that Mars ornament, because something told me this was going to be absolutely delish doing stuff like that. And we're not going to go to the smallest brush just yet. We're not going to do that. We're going to continue adding some of this. It seems northern hemisphere, and also down here right along the equator is another area where you're going to see a lot of that. So yeah, Dano, it's the nice thing is when you're going to pull off those supports, the thing just doesn't snap in half like the smoky black, and it's also not as sticky. I would say you might want to cure it a little less time than maybe the smoky black. So we're going to get some Some swirls here. I mean, it is just... This is an insane place. Iowa is just unbelievably bizarre. And it is constantly remaking itself. Again, caught between the gravitational forces of Jupiter and the other Galilean moons. That would be Io, Callisto, and Ganymede. It is quite literally stretched and pulled to the limit. Not quite sure how it remains intact, actually. It's probably just the volcanism that saves it. Yeah, that is definitely... I can only... This probably looks like a Nurgle planet, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So, Megan, it's too bad that Queez is not watching this, because we're literally painting his Nurgle homeworld right here. Practically, for all intents and purposes. Well, Halligan, everything has its pluses and minuses. Obviously, Luminous, Dano, they can give you a bunch of advice on, well, if you get this one, here's what you can expect. Or if you get this one, you can expect that. Back to that. Now we're going to throw a little bit thinner on this. Same brush that we were actually using on our Saturn. And we're actually going to do a little bit of this around some of those caldera. And then even a little bit of this. Like so. Oh, okay, yeah, Halligan, it's a slippery slope, right? Now, of course, the huge advantage is, well, like that French army. Okay, well, let's put it this way. For the cost of one Char 2C and maybe a platoon of Char B1s, not only could I have gotten all of those files, but I could have gotten a couple of jars of resin and printed out the entire army. And dealt with no mold lines, no weird, resin gaps, and no metal guns or anything like that. Look at this. That's very fun. Yeah, so we're not trying to tempt Halligan at all, are we, Luminous? Not the least bit. Well, Megan, I'm sure you can... you've seen that at work, right? You've seen the forces of printing at work. Now, some of these... Well, see, I'm actually going to let the yellow mix into that. Again, that's what we started with, that lighter... not brilliant yellow pale, but the radiant yellow and the radiant lemon. Look at this here. Look at this. See, we're gonna... What does that look like? It looks a little bit like our polar caps right there on Mars. Also our Tharsis Range volcanoes. So Megan is gonna be blessed be the cheesemakers. Megan's gonna step in and be the peacemaker, otherwise known as a cheesemaker. Actually, now those cheese curds. Definitely got a hankering for cheese curds right now. All right, we're gonna let this move this about, and then we're going to be taking our blending brush to it. Now, of course, Kathy had recently asked me to make the German potato salad for, because those flavors and such, that is actually something that works pretty well with the way her palette changes and such. You have to have some strong flavors in there. All right, so let's see how that just kind of, look at this. It's just going to fade right into hashtag no layers, right? Look at this. It vanishes into nothingness. Same thing with these guys. All we did was just plop that lighter color on there, right? We didn't do anything else. Look at this. We won't get rid of every single edge on there, but we are going to see, look at that, tone down those harder edges. So we didn't wipe it out completely, but we sure as heck incorporated that into everything else very easily, right? So darn easy to do that. Yeah, Laminess, that is, I'm not quite sure how that I'm going to manage, but I at least have to just get that thing, like you say, out of the box and in place, even if I don't have the other outlet strips and such. I think I'm just going to have to get some more of those smart outlet strips so that I can kind of control that even more, and then of course another battery backup. You know what? Radiant Lemon. Bingo. Just like we've been doing with all the purple and such, now we need to do a similar thing. Also, a little bit of our Radiant Yellow. So, Radiant Lemon, Radiant Yellow. Just doing this. Keeping it simple. Looky there. Oh, well, hell again. Yes, you're the moderator of this chat is a champion peanut butter brittle maker. How many years have we had that peanut brittle, Armored Wolf? Yes, Armored Wolf, a champion peanut brittle maker, among other things. Halligan, that fudge sounds really fantastic. Again, we would normally be doing the holiday cookie things. That's just obviously not going to work until, who knows, maybe next year it's going to work. And I am still committed to gingerbread Giselde, or gingerbreaderess. That's where we basically make the entire the entire city of Edoras all out of gingerbread. In 28mm scale, of course, so that we can play a game of Lord of the Rings on that table, because reasons. Look at that, look at that. That's so much fun. Where's another blending brush? Here you are. Blending time. Just make sure that... now I'm going to give this another stab here with the paper towel just to make sure that's all nice and clean. So yeah, Halligan, for whatever reason, I think we just said that on stream and just kind of laughed and chuckled, and then I did a Google search, and do a Google search on gingerbread Edoras and gingerberador. Someone made like a 6-foot tall tower of Barad-dûr out of gingerbread, including lights and everything. I looked up. Yeah, it was made out of gingerbread. It looked pretty darn real. So yes, gingerbreaderess and then gingerberador. That actually happened. And basically what he did was he sort of pre-made all the shapes, mostly just almost like Lego bricks. And that formed the bulk of the structure. And then he went in, kind of made some specialty pieces, as you can imagine. All right, so there's some of our yellow in it. Look at that. This is 54 minutes in, right? Now, obviously, we have to go all the way around this and do all this crazy stuff. Then we have to get in with all the detail stuff, right? We're just kind of finding our way here with this. So we'll get into all the highly detailed stuff later on, but for right now, this is very fun. The occasional kind of harder edge, right? And then some softer edges. Now I might just start thinking about a couple of these just to see how this is going to work. We will thin this down. And then we have to kind of do some things like this almost, yeah. And these sort of semi-wrap-around craters sort of wrap around each other. And then do that. Look at that. That's really fun stuff there. Now, of course, we need to make a... Do we need to make a gingerbread Gothmog? Because we are all Gothmog after all. Also, too... Oh, making Grand out of that sculptable chocolate and gingerbread. There we go. Look at that. Look at all that crazy stuff going on there, huh? Kind of thin it down, though. And then not going to play with that right away. Going to let that set there. Not going to play around with that right away. Here, let's start to get some of these caldera. And do the little crazy outline thing on them. Then we're just going to have to leave those. Right, we want to let that paint set. We don't want to be hasty little hobbitses. You know what happens when you're a hasty hobbit? You get mud. Right, Dano? That's all you get when you're a hasty hobbit is mud. And now here's another fun thing that you can do with, especially when these get a little bit more beat up. See what I did there? I just literally grabbed some paint, press the brush down there, and then just start twisting and moving it around and making some interesting shapes. So Grand Oracle suggests Minas Tirith. Oh, we never actually did get any of our fast mat into any of this. Now, of course, Grand Oracle, do we take all the broken pieces of the gingerbread and make Osgiliath out of that? So all of the pieces of gingerbread that break, do we just save those for Osgiliath? That makes sense, doesn't it? Now, of course, I'm trying to think of you could make a Land Raider out of gingerbread. I know someone baked it was somebody's mom. Back in the old bunker days, she actually baked a cake in the shape of a Dark Angel's Land Raider, which earned her the title of coolest mom ever. Yeah, so for those that have the culinary acumen there, to make a Land Raider cake for your kiddies or significant other, I guess, I don't know, you could be a hero and be like that mom and make the Dark Angel's Land Raider cake. And it was basically about 28mm scale too. She brought that to the bunker. Wow, that was in the heyday of the bunker, that's for sure. All right, here we're going to split up that caldera just a little bit. And again, we're going to leave that up there, right? Because we want that to set, not dry, just set. Take our Radiant Violet, and there's just some really wild, spidery things that happen here. Just really weird stuff. I mean, this is a twisted and tortured place. Very, I don't know, maybe not as inhospitable as, say, some place like Venus or whatever, but pretty darn close to it. Well, there you go. Halligan says it's like having your cake and, of course, eating it too. Thank you so much, Armored Dwarf, for posting the link to the Patreon page. Oh, speaking of which, we did just post episode 4 on the Patreon page. Episode 4 of Army Painting Series 34. And printing goes very well for the, well, it could be series, it's going to be either series 35 or 36. My guess is 35 because I think it's going to be easier to get to that. But I think then series 36 would probably be our Gondalorians. And that is going to be a combination, because we haven't done this before, in Army Painting series where some of the figures are 3D printed and others are standard just GW figures. Yep, Grand Oracle. I was able to, remember we were looking for those files for the Great Taurus, Charlie Brown? Well, we didn't just find a Great Taurus, we found the treasure trove of Lost Kingdoms files. So now we know exactly where everybody can get those if they want them. I have a Great Taurus, I have a sort of Great Taurus. I have 2 different types of bull centaurs. So we've got ourselves a full-on Chaos Dwarf army. Yeah, Halligan, actually we're using, some of these are those beat-up short liner brushes that I feature actually in that video. Look at this. See these crazy little swirls here? We're going to do some of those who are attached to this. And again, if people want to post their Instagram, Discord links and stuff, again, we have more folks in the chat if you would like to do that. Now here, notice how I'm pushing the brush backwards. Look at this. See how I'm pushing this brush backwards like that? Yeah, good luck doing that with a sable brush. Since the sable brush is going to go, I can't do that. But this one can. This is your short liner brush. Actually, funny you should mention that Grand Oracle, because I have those files. That was one of the Patreon pledges from, oh gosh, I don't know which month it was, but I do have those. Remember the, oh gosh, what were they called? The Wolf Riders. Yeah, Lost Kingdoms. I have those files already. So that'll be kind of the, we'll just call that supplementing your army series. Doing some Hobgoblin allies. And if you recall, we've only ever done one multi-basing episode as far as Army Painter series. So the Chaos Dwarves will be multi-based. Oh, wait a minute. Where the heck are they? Is it this one here? Oh, it's this one, right, Halligan? Or is there a liner version of this? Is there a liner version of this? Because I don't remember there being a liner version of it. There is. Huh. The spotters, unfortunately, they just kind of, they get beat up really quickly. They actually are nice. It's just they get beat up so darn easily. Now look at this. See, I'm just taking this brush, just literally doing this. Now here, this is a beat up brush, right? See how it's splitting? Look at this. Usually split ends, that's not what you want to see in a liner, but that's exactly what I want to see here. Because look, it's making all that nifty texture for me. The interesting thing about the oil paints, of course, is that it acts as almost like a conditioner or a treatment for your brushes. So you beat the heck out of them, then you stick them in the oils, and it kind of repairs some of the damage. Now, it's only been about 15 minutes, but I want to just see what happens here with Mr. Blending Brush and this area. Tap, tap, tap. Yep, we waited just long enough. If we did it too soon, all we would do is just remove this paint here. Instead, it softens the edges. Yeah, there's some color mixing going on. That's not the primary deal. That's not the main thing that we're after here. Oh, I guess I won't be on the More Than Dice podcast. I would have been last Sunday, but they didn't say, hey, do you want to be on until about 15 minutes before the podcast? In which case, it was too late by then. Just already taking care of Kathy. But I think next Sunday I'll be on the podcast. If they're doing one. Let's see, next Sunday, well, next Sunday is Christmas. So I don't think they're going to be doing that. He might have forgotten, much like I do, what day it was going to be. I guess we'll have to try and we'll certainly do a stream on Christmas Eve. Hopefully we can maybe do a Sunday Christmas. Look at this. Look at all those fun and different shapes and colors that are happening. Definitely a new favorite world for me to paint. No doubt about that. Alright, so Halligan, is it one of those where it's the really long bristles? Because used to have those back in watercolor days. Because, yeah, that other one that I showed you, that's a 20-0, but that's a spotter. So that must have the super long bristles, perhaps. Alright, and here we're just again coming back. Look at this, up here. The goal is not to wipe out that entire pattern. All it is, taking the edge off. That's all we're looking to do there. Same over here. Aha, look at that. Very fun. So, Lamines, would you say that the that CA sculpt that you've been painting there, is that kind of rescuing you from the painting, getting that mojo back? Alright, that's starting to look like the IO that I know. Let's do some more, again, small, right around these caldera, and I guess I want to throw some thinner into that too. Because of again, these don't work like volcanoes here on Earth. With the immense lack of gravity on Io, these basically just shoot up like an umbrella. Yeah, there's no pyroclastic flow or anything like that, no blowing out the side of the mountain. They kind of look like fountains. And that ends up with these kind of weird rings and almost looking like black eye type things. I'm really glad that you've been enjoying that, Lamines. I mean, I know it can be sometimes difficult to that search for just the right thing that just kind of gets the inspiration going. And of course, many thanks for the printing assistance there. Now, what about... Oh, there's some other really interesting stuff like this. And it's almost a little bit like a river in a way. It's not like the Rift Valley that we did here on Mars. Again, that's not a river valley. That's a Rift Valley. Work this in like so around some of these. Again, some of those caldera. I mean, it would be interesting to paint this just in 2D, but there's just something extra special about being able to paint these in 3D like this. You get to do all the crazy surfaces. Now here in the southern hemisphere, you have an area that's kind of surrounded like this. And see, look at that, just taking that brush, pushing it back and forth. Don't care if it splits like that. Because essentially that's a brush that really doesn't work very well as a detail, or at least not a super detail brush anymore. However, does make it easier to kind of do this sort of work. And I think we can still go even darker in a few locations, I'm fairly sure here. Doing some of our thinner into this. That there. And once again, start to break this down. We'll come back again afterwards, and we will blend some of this. Take the edge off, so to speak. Again, press that, push it, pull it, much like IO itself. Now we're painting this in almost the same process that the thing forms itself. Maybe doing a little bit of connected dots right there. And then I'm going to do some more on this green right here. Let me get some radiant green. Oh, well, that's going to be... That's a warm... Ooh, there's a very intense green right there. I'll get that in a couple of places here. Bingo over there. And that will be stuff that's going to be incorporated with our blending brush. Now, darken this down a little, and hopefully it gets a little... okay, there we go. The green changing a bit. And we'll let that work its way down into some of that orange. And we'll start to push it over this way too, into the orange. Oh, you know, Luminous, I know that Drax said that Limbo Miniatures is doing STL files, but I don't really think they are. I think it's very, very limited. It might be on some really, really old stuff, but I don't think they're genuinely doing STL files just yet. Again, I could be totally wrong, and maybe I didn't see that correctly. Now, yeah, we're letting red and green mix together. Why? It's gonna make brown, which is not the worst thing in the world. Look at that. See, we're just gonna let that all gently combine together. Look at the same over here. So instead of trying to plan all that stuff and plot in there gently, no, I just toss some green on there, take this old blending brush, and done, there it is. Enough said. Don't have to struggle. I know I say it all the time, but I swear there's a cottage industry in struggling. It's not Limbo, well, there's Limbo Miniatures. I don't know if Limbo Division is like one of their campaigns, maybe a previous campaign. But I think Limbo Miniatures and Limbo Division, are they two separate things, or is it just one maybe came before the other? Alright, here we're going to take that green. Tap, 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 and just move this around. Look at that. See, we're not going to replace the orange there. Look at this. Bingo. So yeah, Nurgle Matthew, if you want to do crazy Nurgly stuff, this would do it. I mean, if you're asking me how I would approach doing Nurgly things, this is exactly it. So yeah, Nurgle Matthew, if you are curious as to how I might go about doing Nurgly things, well, you're looking at it. You're just watching it play out right here. Look at it. See how I just extended that with the blending brush, no less. Just pulled that out over this way. There's yet another right next to the orange there. Fade the edge away. Right, incorporate it into that, whatever that open plane, which is going to get some more Caldera on it. So yeah, this is just so fun, so crazy. Let me see if I can. Do I want to work some blue into this? Maybe some more straight up magenta as opposed to the violet. Let me see if that works. Thanks, Halligan. I'll definitely check that out. Sorry that I'm getting a bit confused on that. But Dano, I wasn't quite sure if I should call it that, but it kind of is just gray, right? And it's made out of radiance, so it's radiant gray. And it sounds absolutely ludicrous, but then you use it and you say, well, gosh darn if that didn't work. Yeah, okay, now I think we're getting a little bit more violet out of this. Yeah, alright. Yeah, so Laminus, it's very possible he kind of confused what I was talking about. Yeah, it's Limbo Miniatures. They did their Kickstarter campaign. Geez, I don't know when they did that one. But I don't really think it's super heavy on the pinup stuff. These were more like your very dramatic type sculpts. So yeah, I don't think... I'll probably maybe get some of my fast matte white in here in a couple of places too. But you can see how we kind of do this almost in these swirls, like what we did with Earth, kind of in those cloud patterns. Oh, what the heck. There. Yeah, we really sweat the details, don't we? Blending brush, tap, tap, tap. And start to incorporate this. Yeah. Alright, so everybody please check out Halligan's Instas there. And again, Dano, if you want to share the Cults 3D again, now that it's been a little while, we have more folks in the chat and such. All right, and we go see the again. We just like IO, constantly changing. Now let me get some blue. Now we're doing this magenta stuff, but I want to see what happens with some of the this. Remember we used it on our Saturn. Wait a minute, let me do this. So you can see we incorporated it in some of the rings there and also on some of the clouds. So now Luminesce regular Limbo miniatures, they are not doing STL files, right? Oh, that's what we needed. We needed that blue, and it's radiant blue. It's not, when you look at it, you're not going to say, oh, look at that blue. It's just a little bit of a tint of blue. That's all we're looking for here, is just a tint. I think I'm going to thin this down as well. All right, well, Luminesce, thanks for that, because in my search, of course, Limbo Division was showing up. And I don't want Limbo Division. That was the only place where there were STLs. Because Limbo Miniatures had no STLs. So I think Drax wasn't quite clear on what I was asking him about. I thought it was weird that they would actually have STLs. So it makes me... Now I feel like I wasn't losing my mind. Alright, so that blue, just going to have to let that sit there. Can't play with that just yet. So everybody, if you're looking for a very nifty dwarf bust, speaking of texture, it has lots of texture. Go check out Dano's, I don't want to say Dano's dwarf bust. That could be interesting out of context. Yeah, Luminesce, it's unfortunately, even if it was something, I have some things that I guess I could paint them and post them on Rumble, like we were talking about, like some of the historical stuff where you just cannot take the chance on YouTube or just any other platform because of reasons. So we might just have to do something like that. Oh, here's my blending brush. It's actually got a little bit of the green in there, but that's all right. And we'll keep going with our little tap, tap, tap. And now we've got that blue there. We got yellow there. We got green. We got everything going on here. Now, what we are going to do, I think it's time to maybe start doing some darker versions of actually what we've been doing here. There's actually dark versions of that. Especially here, like I said, down south, so to speak. And this brush is all split and nasty and everything, which makes it just perfect for what I want to do here. Yeah, that brush being all nasty and split apart, it is just perfect for what I need to do here. Am I going to be trying to draw eyeballs with that? No, not really. Not exactly. And away we go up into here. Like so. Yeah, Luminesce, the anime style, I know that there's a lot of people that like doing that, and it's a popular thing. Just the anime stuff, it's fun to kind of try it once in a while, just to do a different thing, right? See what we can learn doing it. It's not really going to be something that I would say, oh yeah, I got to do me some more of that. Now, I guess Chibi doesn't really fall into anime. I haven't actually still had a chance to do a genuine chibi. I've done some near chibis, but not, unfortunately, had the chance just yet to do an actual chibi. hoping to be able to do that at a certain point here. Again, just doing a little bit of tap, tap, tap here. Let that blend in. Not putting any thinner into that. Now, what Luminesce Lightweight said, it can't hurt to just give something a try, right? And necessity is the mother of invention, so we would need to adapt to it, and who knows what kind of nifty techniques would emerge, especially with the oils. Can't hurt. Now, of course, not being familiar with any anime whatsoever, I don't think Star Blazers counts as that, and even then, that was just me being in on the publication of their. They were trying to make a wargaming system for it, sort of like a Battlefleet Gothic, I guess. Well, it was part battle. It was really almost more like Starfleet Battles, really. I think it was closer to that, given the amount of work you had to do to take care of all the charts and stuff on each ship and documentation. Now let me see if I can't. There's my thinner. I'll put some of that on our fast matte white, which is why between the Radiance and the fast matte white, that's why we can handle this thing and not have a complete disaster on our hands. So some of that fast matte white. Let me see what happens with that. Yeah. Because there's a couple of areas on this that really get some intense light. Get kind of a forming some rings around these various caldera here. Don't want a bunch of solid circles. That's not going to be helpful. Now, Lamina is definitely gonna be fun to see what that could be like with the oils. Not like cell shading. I think is that what they call that stuff, right? Where it's sort of two-dimensional, three-dimensional. It's not going to be like that, but anime figures with, I guess, for lack of a better term, a hyper-realistic painting treatment. That would be kind of wild, wouldn't it, Luminous? I mean, I'm sure you see them mostly with the like the cell shading treatment and such. And of course, when Megan, of course, that was Captain America, right? That you did. That was really nifty, and of course, the expression on his eyes was really, really fantastic. I know I mentioned that in our messages. Too intense. We will tone that down with this. Like so. Work that around that caldera, and don't want to make that one stand out quite as much as that. Now, I also don't want to lose all of these smooth plain areas here. We don't want to put stuff absolutely everywhere. Yeah, he definitely was very, very nifty. And Megan, of course, I know you got your link tree, but if you wanted to post any individual links to him, that would be, I'm sure that'd be fantastic too. Continuing with this really lightest light here. I don't think, we didn't really do. No, we hadn't. And some reason I'm just kind of depositing paint over there so that I can go back up here. Maybe extend out some of this lighter area here. Again, it's really important that it sort of dissipates and then suddenly comes back again like this rim of yellow over here. Very important that it kind of does that and then stops and does it again. And we need to get some more light up there. Look at how involved that was. Now, so everybody, please check out Megan's Linktree. We're going to do a little bit of film noir on this. Hannah, it should be interesting to see all the grain just disappear, right? Because it's the same value as everything else. So that should be really wild to see. At least that's my prediction. I think this, yeah. Here, let's really focus on this area, and we'll do our film noir. Yeah, look at that. So all these other values, those are there. However, we're missing out all those. See how these kind of look boring now? That's where all that green is, which now is missing. We'll bring it back. There, look at that. See that? Is that crazy? This looked like there was nothing there. Like there was really no light, no dark, no anything. And all it took was a little film noir to bring it back. More of it's not only do the lighter stuff up there, we got some of that to do down here. Now again, I'm going to take some of this off of the brush and then sweep this around that caldera. Boy, I've got to see if the old astronomy magazines have some of those artist conception drawings of Io. I did actually do a painting of Io with Jupiter in the background. Oh, we could do that again. Yes, we could do that. A painting of the surface of Io with all of the volcanoes and such, and then Jupiter kind of looming over the surface. So JD, I think everybody, well, they're always telling me, you know, get the FDM style for terrain, but it does kind of depend in a way what terrain you're thinking about. Now, I don't know if you've heard me talking about some of that sort of elven city terrain, where basically you're talking about trees. They're tree houses, but they have really detailed. One was like a library with bookshelves and everything, and all the tree bark and such, and then the leaves. To me, do I really want to have a bunch of FDM printer rasterization lines running through all that stuff? So again, the terrain that I can make, like the Gondorian stuff, that's more square, that I can just make out of foam very easily. Obviously, that I would prefer to just make it. But as far as printing goes, I would really like to have a large-scale printer and then do some of that really fun, very detailed terrain with it. And like Alemanus says, FDM has a lot of cleanup, and it can be tougher. Now, I know that Laminess has some resins that you use that are really very durable, and there's also combos you can do. I wouldn't be privy to what those are. Like I said, I have an FDM printer, but I have no place to put it, and I just am not. I'm after two plus years, I'm still learning regular resin printing, so I can't take on both things. But the FDM style that Megan's talking about, that can take some hits. That can really take a beating. That I know because I have some that people sent me here. Hey, Doji, how you doing it? So, I can confirm the toughness of FDM prints. Having just dropped a piece of that a couple of days ago in the printing area, because that was it was a piece of terrain that basically fell on me, and it did not break. However, there's a pretty good chance of getting spaghetti sometimes, and of course, Landrest, you had your printing adventure there. And Dano, I know you've done a lot of things with FDM, right? Again, there's other folks that can are way more well versed in the FDM style than me. So nice to see you again, Doji. Happy Sunday morning to you. So Doji, this has been worth the wait. I've actually been waiting quite a while to be able to paint Io here, and this is just an absolute blast. So again, we're taking this here, pushing it this way and that, whatever. Look at that, very interesting chaotic terrain there. Did I have to work hard to do that? Oh, certainly not. And look at that nifty dark green that's there. That's essentially where the black actually just combined with some of the Indian yellow and turned it green. So JD, believe it or not, I've never actually painted a Hetzer. Well, late war, right? And my Fallschirmjägers had no. There was the only armor they had was just things like Hanomags and that sort of stuff. Yeah, they weren't gonna have a Hetzer. I know Hetzers are gonna Hetz, and those are very popular in the late war German armies. So yeah, we did a film noir a little bit ago, Doji, and wow, the green, when that disappeared, it looked like nothing had been painted in those areas at all. So it was complete color contrast, absolutely nothing value contrast wise. Throwing a little more light into this. I think the other aspect of the FDM is, well, much like my Soraya Simple Resin, it's a little less crazy when it comes to cold, right? Not as subject to some of those, well, some of the delicate resins as opposed to the FDM style printers. Let me get my blending brush here. Doja, I like that. I like the sound of that. Yes, we settle not for swatches of 2 dimensions. We take our swatches to 4 dimensions, maybe even 5. Which you can't see, this has actually been painting the inside of this thing, even though it's not hollow. Well, it is hollow. Yes, we're even painting the 5th dimension portion of this. Yeah, and of course, again, Dano, if you wanted to post anything in the chat there, sure, that would be fantastic. A little tap, tap, tap here, pulling this stuff along. Breaking into the kind of bluish green. That's that phthalo green. Pushing this brush around. What does that do? It creates all kinds of wild little shapes that are sort of random. I'm gonna go back to, yeah, let's start putting some darker small cold eras here and there, and I think we'll just use our brown for this right now anyways. Just some small little things here and there, kind of like when we're working on our stars. And we reach a point where we're just kind of spattering. I guess we could do that here too. We could spatter some really tiny calderas there because that would be a little bit more random. We're always trying to insert patterns into things, of course, so maybe that's not a bad thing. So Halligan, you have a good night. It really, geez, Halligan, I mean, it is so hard to believe that. When I looked at it, I said, oh yeah, okay, next Sunday, and it was like, wait a minute, next Sunday, it would be the day. Thanks so much, Sarge. We're going to rock some of those shamrocks. How you doing there, Sarge? So Sarge, this is the Nurgle planet, I guess. This would be Io. And man, this has been a blast. Enjoying the heck out of this. Oh, do I see a Blitzkrieg? Two folk. Is it two or does it take three to constitute a Blitzkrieg? Thank you so much on the way out there, Halligan. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to throw some of these smaller little caldera in some places. No, oh, there. Well, that's three. That is three. That constitutes it. Do we actually have our hype train go? Do we have ourselves a hype train? Here it is. There we go. Let me dig this thing out of here. Oh, okay, we're 20% there. Things like, what is this? Chugging down the universe. Look at that. There it is. Shh. Hype train. Hype train. Sorry about that. I thought it said hype train success, so I thought, oh, we reached our hype train. Shows what I know. Premature hype train. I'm sure there's a medicine for that somewhere. Now let's get some, yeah, let's do some more dark in these caldera here, and then where's my phthalo green? Oh, this might be just the thing. This might just be the thing right here. Now, there we go. Hannah makes it happen. Hannah makes it happen. So see, I wasn't lying to you. I wasn't lying. Look, there's a hype train. There it is. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Oh, it's coming right at you. It's coming right at you. Look out, look out, look out. All aboard. There it is, the hype train. At some point, we do have to paint one of these. I actually have one of these that's all primered, ready to go with the coal tender as well. I think this is just some C batteries in here. You can get these little train set things on Amazon. Well, I'm sure other places too. But I got them off of Amazon about, now this was years ago. They were about 20-something a piece. I think you get about 30 pieces of track. You get the engine. You get the coal tender. And usually 2 cars. There's like a passenger train version, and then there's also a more of a freight train version. So thank you so much, Hannah, for making the Blitzkrieg happen and making me seem a little less foolish or hasty. A little less hasty on the premature Blitzkrieg. There's a Valfera. Hey there, Velfer. How the heck are you doing? Hopefully it's not another night of the no sleeping thing because of the crazy temperature up and down. But nice to see you. I know it's awful early for you there on a Sunday morning. So we Valfera, it's I forget what the name of it was. I mean, it just says like toy company or something. It's weird, not the best name ever, the most memorable name. As we had some darker ridges into here. But yeah, there's 2 different versions. There's one that's got the engine, the coal tender, and at least 2 cars. and then a bunch of links of track. And it just takes battery power, so you don't have to sit there and be, well, more of an expert electrician like Valfera with all the marvelous things that Valfera does. You don't have to quite have that knowledge. You just put some batteries in there and it just goes around until the batteries run out. Well, Dano, you know what? I always ask, don't they call them the Australian Alps? I think so, right? And I've always asked, are those somewhat close to, say, Adelaide, or is that almost, I don't know, that sort of closer to Tassie in a way? I'm not sure where those are. I always keep forgetting where those are located. Well, Valfera, wow, now that's bouncing around right there. Yeah, needless to say, it's not that here today. So, Valfera, nice to see you. Yeah, it's been snowing most of the last, I think, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah, it kind of snowed those 3 days. So, yeah, not so much in the 60s here. So Valfera, the white there is the master electrician. So Valfera, you're just the one that blows up the channel locks or whatever, right? When you got to cut a wire, you think, okay, this is not attached to anything. This is not attached to any circuit box or anything. And it blows up and you have half a channel locks in your hand. Your hair's standing on end. That's never happened to me at all. Well, Valfera, fortunately, unlike Armored Wolf that had the 5 feet of snow, it's just basically been advanced snow flurries for 3 days. We're kind of lucky in that vent. That it's basically the extent of shoveling was me going out with a broom once and then throwing down a bunch of salt, which was just enough to kind of keep the additional stuff at bay. Yeah, Megan, I remember what was it, the not 9-inch snowfall that you guys were supposed to have? It was supposed to be a snow day, right, Megan? Yeah, not much of a snow day there. Alright, so getting some of this darker routine in here. Let me take Mr. Blending Brush. Tap, tap, tap. Do all this kind of stuff. So Sarge, your 10 days of Christmas really, that's getting there. Hopefully you've got some fun stuff planned. I know you were thinking about finishing the one orc. Maybe trying to dive into some of the Smish Marines there. Valfera, all kidding aside, that was something that I was worried about because there is no time for shoveling snow, quite literally, with everything that's going on here. So I'm kind of grateful, I have to say. I won't complain about that. Well, Megan, I don't know. I mean, yeah, White Christmas, yes, but that's a very white Christmas. That would be extremely white Christmas there. So this is Io. This is the innermost moon of Jupiter that gets pulled and stretched and just almost torn apart, which is what causes all the volcanoes, which is why you have all these different colors, because each of these colors here that represents a different chemical. So when you get to the blue-ish areas, that's more your sulfur. And I forget what some of your yellow stuff is. I don't know. I think so. Oh, there's methane. That's right. That'll be more of the blue. Now, Sarge, is that the one Is it the, well, everything is relative when I say new or newer. Maybe I should just say newer. Did you get the newer one that's plastic, or do you have the really ancient one that's mostly metal? So again, normally snow is something that I would absolutely love. However, given the situation here, that is not something that I have time to mess around with. So here, see some of those darker spots that we put to represent the really small volcanoes. I'm just going in here now that they have had a chance to set. See, we're kind of softening the edges on those. Ah, so it is the plastic one. So Sarge, were you gonna do a flaming sword with the Morgul crown Witch King, or were you just gonna do kind of standard sword? Because obviously, you know, this is gonna come as a shock to everybody that watches this channel here. That, well, we chose the one with the object source lighting, wherever the heck he went to. There he is. So that was very fun. And of course, I don't know if I added any extra. No, I don't think I actually added any extra flame like I did on the Balrog with the heavy gloss gel. Again, we'll take this your blending brush and just go tap, tap, tap on. See those dots right there? Now they're just a little bit softer. Just a scotch. Soften up these up here too. Yep, a couple over here. Like so. Now, let's do this one. And again, for folks that haven't seen it yet, I did post the newest episode of Army Painting Series 34 to the Patreon page before we started up the stream here. That's the Army of the Dead. That's episode 4, series 34. Lots of rust, lots of corrosion, but also kind of talking about what you can do with these liner brushes once they get a little bit too beat up for the super detailed stuff. And then I have a basing video with where we tested all of this Luke's APS stuff here. The sawdust scatter. Lessons were definitely learned. As always, I think that has to work in conjunction with other stuff instead of on its own. Was not a huge fan of that just by itself. I mean, it works. I think maybe on terrain it's maybe more effective, but I think if I want to use that, it needs to be mixed in with, say, the Woodland Scenics products. Mostly the fine turf, blended turf, that sort of stuff. Again, trying to work in the darker portions of some of the caldera, and then they have this crazy, it's almost like, well, sometimes it just looks like a bruised peach or something. Oh, the one with the horse. Boy, yeah, Sarge, that would be fantastic. Now, I do have another, let's see, where the heck did he go? Nope, that's not him. Here he is, down here. I think this is the Medbury. No, that's the GW one right there. So I did do the heavy gloss gel to put the flaming sword on there. But this guy was really fun, very neat to do. And now, do you have the juniper trees, Sarge? Those are the ones that are really twisted. Those are so fantastic, aren't they? Yeah, Landrath, it kind of gotten away from using the Woodland Scenic stuff. And then I remember I did that basing video where I just used, I don't know, I've got about 6 or 7 different types. And that was really fun. So the woodland scenic stuff, I use that on a lot of my early dioramas. And it worked very, very well. Let me see. We're going to do some more with the... Yeah, here, let me take this. It's our brown matter over here. Okay, look at this. We're just taking that same old brush, just pushing this all around. So Megan, I'm going to try to find... I know there's some on YouTube as well, but kind of if I can find some of the cavalry units so that you have a general idea of what it is you're up against with some of the cavalry units. Yeah, Sarge, I think the juniper trees are probably my favorite. The other ones are nice. What do they call them? Like the ruined trees or something? Those are nice. But I don't know. There's something about those juniper trees that looks especially evil, wouldn't you say? Actually, that would be... Ooh, yeah. Those were the trees that I wanted to... In addition to the birch trees, I wanted to print those up a lot bigger. And those could be... dead marshes. Wouldn't you say, Sarge? That would be perfect for dead marshes. And we might have one or two, or 3 or 1,000 printing files that we could use for the little candles, right, that you find in the dead marshes. All the dead elves and Numenorians. Now here we're getting... This is with the brown matter. A little bit of the Egyptian violet here. Like so. Let me see. So Megan, thanks. I really appreciate you being here. I know it's really late, but I'll try and find those for you. At least just so you know, like where the horse. I thought I had those. I specifically tried to have those next to me, so that I could show you those on screen, like where some of the seams are and the crazy areas on them. But sadly, that's still in another room. I thought I had them in here. No, I don't like that. No problem. Got ourselves a little blending brush here. Oh, look at that. It's like it never happened. Seriously, it's like it never happened. It's gone. It's completely gone. And then we'll also soften up some of this. Yeah, the little Egyptian violet, a little bit of the brown matter. Yeah, that's just swirling, just craziness going on there. Is there a brush guy in the house? Oh, so Sarge, there's dark forest trees. Then there's the ruined stumps, right? And then there's the juniper tree. Just love those. So brush guy, oh, I heard that there was some boats. Did you actually get to go on a tall ship? Because, well, tall ships, it's not just for Armada anymore. I want to paint some tall ships. I mean, well, here's our one, speaking of oils, and from way back in the day. Where is... I think it's this one right here. Is it this one? Yep, there you go. That's the oil painting we did when I was 13. And I had a couple of other tall ship paintings. I've actually been saving a bunch of references for some tall ships that we could do some really interesting paintings on. Okay. Brushcat. Now, I mean, that sounds like it was very fun because tall ships. Hello, ships. Sails. That's for me, baby. We're going to just take the brush, knock it over on its side here. And there. Ah, thanks, Grand Oracle. Yeah, I think you've heard me say once or twice with that one. I wish I knew then what I know now. Like, just what I know here. That thing would have taken a fraction of the time. And by fraction, I mean that thing took quite a while. That was weeks of painting there. That thing could have been done in a matter of hours, just knowing what I know now. But, well, if I knew it all then, there wouldn't be anything for me to explore now, would there? So yeah, brush guide. There's another painting that I want to try and do again. It's a it's more like a frigate, not even a frigate. It's barely even frigate size. It's maybe more like a 20 gun ship, because you're more a ship of the line frigate. Some of the Americans were outsized with the 44 guns, but I think a typical frigate was more like 36 guns in that neighborhood. Yeah, so real brush guy, great to see you. Actually, I'm glad that you could have some chats with Kathy there. The the side effects I think might have been reduced a little bit because there was just less of the stuff, and I think the starting point was also higher in terms of certain levels. So it was really great that you guys could message and do all that stuff. Ooh, look at that. That's a nice juicy yellowish orange right there. That was something, if I had tried doing that, I don't know, about an hour ago, no dice, not going to stick there. All we do is just push aside what's already there. Well, yeah, Brush Guy, I think because you sent some pictures, right? You sent some pictures for, I'm going to have to ask her to send me some of the pics there so that I can see that. Again, we may or may not have an obsession with tall ships here. I cannot confirm nor deny that. Much like certain other obsessions like Cavalry, Lord of the Rings, object source lighting. With a lead blower? That's a leaf blower, okay. I do not have a leaf blower here. I don't have a leaf blower. I have a broom, and it was the same broom as this one right here. Where are we at? There it is. So you see that broom? That was me up on the roof in 2020. Is it 2020? That was 2021. I think so. That the 11-inch thick ice jam right there. Yeah, so ice jams, folks. Remember, Sarge? Was that 2 years ago? Also for you down there in Texas with the ice jams. Well, Megan, thank you so much. As always, are my hands? Well, they're not too dirty. We could actually show off Megan's Plero and Plathy. Yes, plaid. Also Ox. Also Stretch and Hello Kitty. Also Nurgle and Frenchie. And of course, a little bit of Cthulhu thrown in. That's done by Megan. So, Megan, definitely toss in your link tree. Toss in your link tree on the way out so people can see all the glorious stuffs. So yeah, that was, if you ever want to find out what a very hazardous mountaineering experience is like, just get up on your roof when there's snow, followed by, I don't know, 5, 6, 11 inches of ice underneath the snow, and you're on top of the roof. Just do something like that. Again, if you have a thrill for near-death experiences, that should get you there. You can only hope that maybe the snow on the sidewalk is thick enough so that when you inevitably slide off the roof to your doom, maybe you get your landing slightly softened by that 3 feet of snow on the sidewalk. Some might ask, well, why not use a roof rake instead of that? Well, the problem is I'd have to be standing on the neighbor's roof to be able to utilize the roof rake. So therefore, no roof rake possible. Oh, look, I've been dying to do this. I've been waiting for a couple of hours to be able to do this. This is the Indian yellow mix. This is a very tricky thing. There's a little Terra Rosa in here too. I have to get some of this radiant yellow in here just to make it a little bit more opaque because, well, Indian yellow, not opaque. Not opaque at all. But man, look at that. That is a very fun kind of orangey yellow. Because here you see it's kind of peachy there, right? Well, now we can really boost some of this yellow, like right there. Bingo. Ah, Chuckaboo, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope that your December has been going well. Well, hey, actually, Chuckaboo, speaking of Discords, if you have any, any of your Discord posts there that you would want to share so that people could see things that you've been doing, why not post it there? Ooh, looky here. See, we're kind of creating those calderas by, they're kind of called as negative painting. So see, there's that little bit of a halo around it just by not painting right next to the caldera there. So now, Sarge, was that just like maybe a 2.5 week stretch, or was that longer? I don't quite remember how long that stretch lasted for you guys, or if it was just like a 4 or 5 day thing. And right on cue is surface tension. Hey, surface tension, I was telling Kathy that when it gets to be about 1 something clock, and well, that is here, and I see you show up, I always ask if the greyhounds have been walked. And of course, I told her how many coats was the greyhound wearing? I think 2 coats or something like that the last time you did the walk of the greyhound out there in the snow. Now we're going to extend some of this nice ornery yellowish orange right up in here. Look at that, huh? Looky there. Again, so this is Io, the innermost moon of Jupiter. Torn apart by tidal forces of, well, between Jupiter and, of course, the other 3 Galilean moons. So everybody please check out Chuckaboo's link there. Go check that out. Is that Discord? Yeah, it's a Discord. Yeah, Chuckaboo, I think that worked fine. I'm pretty sure that it did. Now looky here, we're just gonna let some of that just wander on into here. Here we are. This is the one big element that I've been waiting to do for some time, but patience, right? Don't be hasty, little hobbitses. Got to be patient. Whether it's a miniature, a painting, a vehicle, it matters not what it might be. You must be patient. Oh, look at that. That yellow next to the... Oh, what the heck. Let's do a gratuitous film noir here, especially for Valfera. Let me see if that green and that yellow... Ah, see that? That just got a whole lot more boring because you don't see the orange, the yellow, the green. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of difference in the light and dark. But when the green and all those other wild colors, they come back, boom, look at that. Much more interesting, yes. So, okay, I thought maybe I was imagining that it was a multiple coat experience, but no, I was not imagining things. Once again, taking normally a blending brush, stuck some paint on there. See this kind of dark grayish green that's underneath? We're not going to wipe it out. No siree. We're just going to take advantage of it like so. Let some of that show through. Surface tension painting. If you wanted to post any of your Instagram links there as usual, go ahead and do that. Look at that. That is our lovely, really intense yellow Io color. Now here, We have to let this set for a bit, 10-15 minutes, and then I'm going to come in and we're going to also modify the brush strokes there too. Yes, indeed. Wait, and Chockaboo, geez, maybe I already just asked, but is there any big kind of overriding project that you're kind of hoping to do? Maybe is over the holiday season or in the next month or two? Oh, look at that. Next to all that green. So, Dano, yeah, doing the eBay links on the Cool Mini or Not thing, that actually, that was a big help, I have to say. It's no guarantee, but fortunately you don't have to do it on every single one of your auctions. Do it on a couple. And also keywords. That's another really important thing we learned the hard way. Oh, we learned the hard way about keywords. Now again, see we got that nice little almost magenta-ish type thing. I don't want to fool around with that too much. But what I would like to do is almost take this yellow, because I'm looking at it right here, do some smaller, lighter Caldera on that area of dark. Is that oh, there's a Surface Tension trying to start a new Blitzkrieg. Thank you so much, Surface Tension. Appreciate that. Also some KDM stuff. That's right. Yeah, Dano. Yeah, I have to refresh my memory a little bit on those, but there were some things that we could do on eBay to try and have them support each other instead of just throwing up one individual auction. Because there's certain things where you can have, well, here's the thing. I would do one Games Workshop thing, especially Space Marine. So then I could flood the zone with Space Marine keywords, even though the other 9 auction pieces out of 10 had nothing to do with Space Marines or even GW. So it was one GW thing for every 4, 5, 6 not GW things, and the idea was that the GW thing would get people to look at some of the other stuff. So Chockaboo, the only Kingdom Death miniature I've ever painted. Believe it or not, it's actually one of the Patreon videos. It was one of the pinups or something like that. So not one of the small Kingdom Death monster minis that are more, would you say, true scale, 25 millimeter by comparison. But believe it or not, the approach really wouldn't be all that, even than what we're doing here. I know it sounds crazy, but it wouldn't be all that different. Now look at this, we're just starting to work that. That is the final big thing that I want to do. There's lots of other little tiny things I want to do, but this was the last big thing that I was hoping to work in here. And we've had it work its way into here. I don't want to completely wipe that out. Here's another area. And see how we're kind of going around some of our caldera like this. The unique nature of the way volcanoes work on Io means that they're not going to be like earth-bound volcanoes, but the strands of lava and such like that's not really going to be the case, because these are just kind of spewed out like a geyser, like an umbrella. So that's why we have these crazy little sort of multi-phase halo shapes around them. So yeah, the one that was sent here is a commission thing. But otherwise, yeah, we don't have any other Kingdom Death stuff here. Well, I think I might have some Kingdom Death that friend of ours had given us many years ago. But time for prepping those is, well, non-existent right now. Maybe someday we'll get a chance to do those. Now let me get a little bit more of my lighter yellow all the way up here. Well, orange yellow up here towards this polar cap. And see, we're kind of doing this stippling type of brush stroke here. So it's mixing with all of our layers underneath. And again, everything on here is still wet. Totally still wet. Well, that would be fun, Lemon. Obviously, we've certainly been asked a number of times. I think, don't some of them have torches, right? So we could do some object source lighting on them. And, well, I'm guessing that skin tones would be involved. Kingdom Death. Skin tones? Probably. Yes. Can't imagine how there wouldn't be. Oh, look at this. Look at this. It's almost like we're doing marble. Where's my Easterlings here? That's not an Easterling. Here's an Easterling. There we go. So what I just did there is the same sort of thing, how we start out doing our marble stuff in oils. It's the same idea here. So they all do have, okay, Luminous. I was like, oh, maybe it's just one or two that I saw, and I just keep thinking they all had lanterns. But, well, then in that case, Luminous, object source lighting it shall be. Oh, look at that. Does it look like some kind of spilled jar of contrast paint there? Yes, oddly specific, but I know who's watching, so I couldn't resist that. Look at this, huh? All those little nice swirls down there. Was that hard work, or was that me just going plop, plop with the brush, twisting it like this, and then just fading out that area? I'm serious. Nurgle skin tone. Look at this. It's the Nurgle moon. Now, Luminous, I'm guessing they go on like those 30 mil bases, or are they more like 25s? And I'm assuming they're round bases. Of course, we all know what the first three letters of assume are. So maybe I should not assume. Wow, look at this. Wow, we actually got closer to that orangey yellow down here than I thought I did. Again, just let some of that mix down in here. So remember when this started out, it was just a whole bunch of different lighter colors, most of them just radiance. Just kind of slap stuff around, and then we started to work in some darker stuff. That is right on there, brush guy. Yep. That was something that I learned in Boy Scouts. Yes, indeed. Whenever you say, well, I just assumed, and you could almost, before those words got out of your face, you could hear the Scoutmaster about to say, you know what the first three letters in assume are? Well, Chockaboo, I'm sure will, I think we could use some of those juniper trees. So how about that? So yeah, use the juniper trees as a sort of a backdrop, or whatever, on some Kingdom Death bases, and have the lantern casting light up onto the tree. Either that, or we'd just be very hilarious and put him in a birch forest. Put birch trees on every single base, make them look like they're just wandering around in the birch forest. You know what? We're missing Oh, there we go. See, I had to regenerate my Indian yellow there. We were running a little bit shy on that. I was starting to get a little pasty looking, not quite as intense. Now here, instead of it all being smooth, look at this. See a little bit of tap, tap, tap to intentionally have a little bit of rough texture there. Let me see if I can work some of this in here. More of the Indian yellow, which also has some Terra Rosa in it. That's maybe a little too much Terra Rosa. Let's go back over here, make that a little more opaque as well. And once again, form a bit of a halo around that. My goodness, what the last time I painted anything with Io in it was actually on the surface of Io, and then you had Jupiter in the background. So this has been extra fun, I have to say. More fun than just a regular painting because I get to paint the entire 360-degree surface, which means even more crazy colors. More of our right there. So yeah, Brushka, I don't know what state she'll be in tomorrow for watching a movie or something like that, hangout wise. I do think things are better than previously. Now, of course, I think she's looking at light and flashing light like a screen or something like that. That's probably not going to be ideal still because of the ocular migraine thing. Oh, geez, surface tension painting. Oh, gosh, is it still here? Is it still here? Wait a minute. Ah, here it is. Ah, so look at Reconquer Designs surface tension. Reconquer Designs, and it's free. Now, it's not everybody. It's just the main three, but you do have the stable, and there's even object source lighting opportunity. So that was something that I was also hoping to try and print out and paint. Now I can't. Geez, I don't know about the terrain part of it. It's probably going to be too big for the sorry, not the Anycubic, but the Sonic Mini 4K. The characters, the 3 characters, I could also just print them out bigger. But yeah, check it out, and it should be a free file, and it should be like looking almost like a little bit of a landscape, and then you would have the 3 characters. Oh, look at this! Look at that! That is so much fun. I mean, obviously that rock, I could just replicate those very easily with some Daz Air Dry clay and my Woodland Scenics rock molds. So it's not like we have to have that or nothing. That could actually make for an interesting tutorial video. Because reasons. Oh, I also have a resupply on my tree bark, courtesy of Loim. So we say thank you so much to Loim. Unfortunately, I'm sure he's just sleeping right now. But yes, we got a restock on all of our tree bark. So that's another thing. We haven't combined that and the Daz Air Dry clay, so we'll be combining that. I know we use the bulletin board cork all the time, but this time we're gonna try the Daz Air Dry clay and tree bark once again. And let me know if you see that there. Oh, look at this. Look at how fun this is. Now we're gonna go all the way down into here, into our. Some of those would almost look a little bit like channels, but they're not quite that. Again, doing a little bit of tap, 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 and moving that brush around, kind of a stippling type of a brush stroke there. So Chocobo, it's all about the color contrast. So if you have sort of a fiery light source, the way to attract attention to that would be cooler blues, or greens. So you're going to want that color contrast in there. Well, just like this, we have that green. Now we're really starting to bring in some of these yellows, and then here we've got that kind of orangey red right next to a green. I mean, even here, right? Now here's another way. Okay, so see, we have some distant torches, so it's not these torches, but it's like there's other torches in the room, and you can see it's casting just a tiny little flicker of light here on that cooler metal surface right there. So just play the color contrast game. It's the best game going. Yeah, it's better than 40K. It might even be better than Middle-earth SPG. The color contrast game. Now I have to make that. I have made board games based on painting before. Paintopoly, the game of watercolors. Maybe we'll have to do an oil painting game. And instead of mission scenarios, you get painting cards. You have to paint certain things. And if there are any errors in composition, you lose X amount of units. Yeah, would say so, wouldn't you there, Landrest? Yeah. Now bringing some of that yellow all the way over here. I'm just trying to think, how many years has it been? 2014? That's the last time. That was just that was in that tournament. So we're looking at, we're getting close to, well, we're basically almost 9 years. I think this Adepticon coming up would be 9 years since then. That would be the last time. Working in my yellows here. But now instead of, say, starting with that yellow, it was a lot easier to get this to cover because it's opaque. But see underneath here, look at all this fun stuff. See all that fun texture that I can leave, just like what we did down here. It was a whole lot easier to do this than for me to paint the dark stuff over the top of it. So it's perfect. Okay. Wait a minute. Surface tension. I didn't see those. Wow. Okay. Well, it makes sense, right? Thanks for actually spotting that surface tension. I gotta get me those then. Oh yeah. All right. Well, just somebody send me a reminder to look for those other characters and critters for that nativity scene there. Chanko, that was... Oh, here we go. We did that on our Doggle door. Now you can see that little bit of the orangey there. And I haven't had a chance to do that again since. And she seemed to be the perfect thing for that. Oh, hey, Velfera, before you head out, now that we got this yellow here, let me find the best... Oh, here we go. Yellow, orange, and green, which will all disappear. And actually that light, that's not light there. That's just a little bit of the reflection of the lights. So this virtually is entirely all the same value. Almost entirely the same value. Look at how this is going to change. Like, I mean, unbelievable. Look at all this. There's virtually no difference between this, and that orange as far as how light or dark they are. So yeah, there's... What else is there? So other can the shepherds and stuff. Yes, that would be perfect because believe it or not, Kathy and I, we've been searching eBay and craft stores and hobby, all these places to just find either blank nativity figures that we could paint with the oils, or something that I could print, and I just never really occurred to me to just start looking around like that. I mean, we have that the nativity scene that I have here. These figures are, oh gosh, now they gotta be about 80 something years old. I mean, they were 50, 60 years old when back in the day, and they're essentially paper mache. They're hollow. They're made of paper, right? Kind of paper mache, and they've been delicately painted. And obviously, even though they're kind of beat up, I really don't want to be messing with paint on those, because while they would look like brand new, that would be. I just don't want to take away the originality of them. So we've been looking for ones to paint so that we could have a more durable nativity scene and not have to worry about the figures breaking. Alright, so thanks. Thank you so much, Surface Tension. Appreciate that. Yes, I have downloaded that thing 2 or 3 times and completely forgotten to transfer that onto the machine that makes the build plates. Yes, I don't even have Chidubox on the machine where I've downloaded it twice now, because that's just me. Grand Oracle. You know what? Grand Oracle, I think I might have seen that. I think we might have seen that maybe one of our last ReaperCons, and we were really thinking about it. I know they have a camel. It's even in, well, I don't know, some one of the bones materials. Well, I think Grand Oracle, that would just be fun no matter what. That sounds like another Christmas, either a video series, because we would make the stable and everything to go with it. Either that and or some streams. Alright, Surface Tension, I hope that you have fun walking the hound. Next question. Some more light in that yellow. Let me see. I'm gonna go with the radiant yellow, just a little bit over here. Now, this is also a bit thicker. Do I need to thin it down? No, that's about the right consistency. Also, just doing a little bit of tap, tap, tap with this. We're not trying to brush it on. We're literally doing this. It's almost like when we're doing our brush stroke management. See, it's just a little tap, tap, tap. It's like Morse code. Just like Morse code. Geez, Grand Oracle, that's fantastic. Holy smokes. That's the works right there. That is just perfect. Well, yet another thing I'm going to have to try and remember, because that sounds just right. So the nice thing about the 3D printing is Kathy wanted some larger ones. Obviously the miniature ones, well, 28 mil scale should work. I do remember being really, really young and actually sculpting a bunch of figures myself. You know what? I'm going to try and carry this lighter yellow all the way into this area here. Blending brush. Is that... see if I can get the paint out of the brush there. And do a little blending right here. Sure enough. There you are. Like so. Yeah, I also have the wise guys there, Grand Oracle. That's extra cool. That is definitely very cool. Well, that is on the it's on the bucket list there of things to do. I just don't know how I didn't see that before. Maybe that's not the maybe it's not the oldest set of stuff that they've had, because I just don't remember that. And basically, if it's any older than, say, 3 years ago, because I wasn't at ReaperCon the last 3 years now. Yeah, Grand Oracle, the scale thing, I know there's some folks where it really is very important. I mean, with Lord of the Rings, well, you kind of get used to some slight variations in your scale. Like some Forge World things that are pretty gargantuan, or Army of the Dead. And then the original Gondorians, who are mostly hobbit-sized. Alright, see, look at that. Doing a little bit more of a Caldera ring there. So thanks, Grand Oracle. Really appreciate you finding those. Now, I don't think I'll be able to get to those in time for... Well, those wouldn't be here in time for this year, but could always have them around for next year. And it's number 1047. Well, that's not super new. That is not really very new. I think, I don't know, they're probably well past the 1400s or something now. Maybe even past that. Okay, so I'm going to try and get some more. Now that we've done this yellow stuff here, we did a little bit of the magenta. I'm going to try and go back to some more blue in a couple of areas. Maybe some more violet too. Yeah, okay, let's not go too crazy with all the blue here. Yeah, Grand Oracle. What were we talking about? Gosh, what were they called? And it's killing me that I can't remember, but sorry I can't remember, but they were so darn tiny. Their cavalry made Lord of the Rings cavalry look like Conquest cavalry. Thunderbolt Mountain, that's it. Yes, Thunderbolt Mountain. Those their horses could fit on a 25 millimeter base. Okay, that's just enough blue in it. I actually added a little bit of the Severus blue. And now I got just enough of the blue in there. Yeah, I think Kathy painted... We either painted about the same amount as each other, or maybe Kathy painted a few more than I did. She might have painted one or two more than I did, but those were tiny, tiny little buggers. Now look at this, just going to create these little swirling patterns here. That's radiant blue mixed with the touch of the Severus. Goes all the way down to that Caldera there, and then a little bit of blending. See if I... here we go. Here's our genuine blending brush here. We'll do that tap, tap, tap. Not looking for perfect blends of colors or anything like that. We're just looking to soften some of the brush stroke. See a nice little hint of transition there. Severus blue. Radiant blue. In you go. Just where you would least expect it, right in there. Okay, we got green, blue, yellow, orange. And then swirl it right into here with maybe a little bit more of our Radiant Blue finding its way in there. And who knows, I might have to come back with a little touch of the Radiant Violet as well. I'm going to put a little bit of thinner, not too much. Ooh, that might be, that's borderline. And so it's going to just kind of creep its way into our orangey yellow there. So it's more like 30 millimeter. Well, Grand Oracle, it's nice to see that some things still survive, right? That's really cool. And of course, sometimes the older miniatures, and by older I mean like old, seeing them with modern day basing and painting techniques, especially some 3D printed basing bits. Wow, there's a combination of the old and the new for you. And let me get a little colder thing around here again with our bluish color. Here, let me get even more. That's even got more of our blue in it. See, I'm kind of using a little bit of sidewinder stroke there. Now I'm just almost shoving the brush down in here, letting that mix. All right. Can't blend this in, soften the edges, but not wipe out the color. Not looking to wipe out that color at all. Because people ask, why don't they see any brush strokes on there? So that's because during the brush stroke management phase, we went in there and we just worked out the, see that? See, we soften the edges around that caldera too. So Chocobo, if there's, I think there's 9 of them, and we kind of broke them up into 3 sets. That first set, the Radiant, especially the Radiant Violet, the Radiant Turquoise, and the Radiant Green. Those are kind of your first 3. If you're just going to do 3 to start out with, you can start with those 3. Your second tier, if you want to call it that, would definitely be the Radiant Yellow. That'll be your next one. Then Radiant Blue and Radiant Magenta. So the Radiant Yellow is helpful because let's say you want to make a very economical yet very strong, almost cadmium yellow-like color. Indian Yellow and Radiant Yellow. Well, look at this. I mean, people would look at that and say, wow, that's cadmium yellow deep. No, that's Indian Yellow with a little bit of Radiant Yellow. Advantages, lower cost, but also you just don't have to. Cadmiums take a long time to dry. We don't have to worry about that here. Look at, here's Saturn. There's some almost the same colors on there. If that was cadmium, wouldn't be able to do that now, would I? I was painting that. You see any paint on my finger? Look, Ma, no paint on my finger. This is less than 24 hours ago, and that is all nice and dry. So you can't go wrong with those. Now the final tier, Radiant Red, Radiant White. Now if Halligan was on there, I think Halligan uses Radiant White a lot. I use the Fast Matte White. I know Landrest and I both use that. The Gamblin, what's the other one? Quick Dry White. It's not going to be as fast, say, drying or setting as the Fast Matte, but it's not too bad. I use that plenty of times. But that's kind of a little breakdown of your Radiant colors. As far as what would you prioritize if you have to just say, okay, look, I could only get a couple of these or maybe 3. The Radiant Blue I've found to be much more handy. Initially I didn't use it very much, but I've started using that more and more lately. Yep. Here we're gonna soften a couple of the brush strokes here, just a little bit. Do I see a Kago in the house? I think I do. Well, Kago, didn't I promise you Io? I promised you Io. You have Io. So Kagome, how are you doing? Kagome's Fury, nice to see you. Everybody, please give Kagome's Fury a follow. Kago, hopefully, I'm sure you had a blast on your stream. Hopefully, you got a bunch of stuff done. Blue Sage, nice to see you back. Nice to see you back. I hope everybody's getting their stuff ready for the holidays. We're trying to do that here. So, this was last night's Kago. You got to see a little bit of this, didn't you? I think you got to see a little bit of that. And, well, here's our moon of Jupiter. We painted Jupiter last year. We will paint Jupiter again, because reasons, right? Now, we also, this was our New Year's Eve stream last year, so we're going to save that, I think, still for New Year's Eve. So Kago, it was better than we thought it would be. Again, some of those, some of the things that we've done over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe kind of working out in our favor. Again, tomorrow could be totally different. That's how these things go. We've been fooled many times before. And Kayo, again, if you have any kind of links you want to share in the chat, that is fantastic. Thank you so much, Blue Sage. I'm glad that you were get a lot done on your drow, on your Fey drow. Now, Monday, remember, we haven't forgotten about these. We're a little bit flatter. It's going to be Medjugorje Monday. So we did the Argonath, we did Hobbiton. We will be painting Medjugorje on our ornament on Monday. That would be this, because, again, I won't have time to prep anything for that, except for just slapping some primer on our ornament. So this here, going on an ornament, because reasons. Oh, there we go. Everybody, please check out, again, the link there by Kagome's Fury. So Chakabu, the turquoise is fantastic for, well, oh, here we go. So when you want to do your sky blues, now obviously we used it on our 2D work there, but when you're looking to do the sky earth type stuff, the turquoise is really handy for that. Now you can use the radiant blue. That's kind of helpful for stuff like this, where you don't want it to be too much of a turquoise. You don't want to warm it up too much. You want it to stay more of a purplish blue. That's where the radiant blue can help you there. Whereas the radiant green, that's what's out here on that power sword. So Kago, this was really a blast. And of course, ooh, here, let's do a quick little film noir now that we've got this yellow in place and the oranges. Now we do have to kind of ignore some of the shiny things from the lights, but if we do our film noir, you can see the values, not much difference in the values. The color is the big difference. The greens, the oranges, the reds, the yellows. And now we're kind of taking our blending brush and doing some brush stroke maintenance, getting rid of some brush strokes. Toning down, see we had just some dots right there that kind of had some hard edges on. We're going to take some of those down. Same over here. And again, the nature of the volcanic activity on Io dictates that you're going to have these almost like bruise marks around all the caldera. You're not going to have the lava flows. It's more like it just goes. It's like a big fountain, which really affects the way those caldera look. And of course, the different substances, the sulfur, your methane, hydrogen, those things, they're going to leave different colors on the surface. So we've been working in, that's some of our blue right there, obviously more of the methane. Same thing with the green, kind of again, a little, or the nitrogen, sorry. Just doing some tap, tap, tap here. I see some brush stroke here. We're going to do that same deal. We also have that mix of hard edges, soft edges. Very important. I'm going to do a little bit more of this. So in some ways, these things kind of resemble our polar cap on Mars. We painted this one, was this Thursday? Yeah, I think this was Thursday. Then Saturday, or Friday we did our Saturn, and then I see I got mixed up Saturn, Saturday. Maybe I should have saved that for tonight. It could have been a very Saturn day. Yeah, that was a wee bit lost on me. I didn't think of doing that. Oh well. we can certainly paint more of Saturn. Maybe even just some regular 2D art of Saturn. Doesn't have to be an ornament, although ornaments are very fun. Now that we've worked some of that yellow in there, I'm going to come back in here and try and do some of these little tiny dark, maybe tiny little volcanoes. Like so. Couple more here. I do want to leave some areas of open terrain because it does rework its surface just every couple of months on average. I'm not sure if there's certain areas, maybe along the poles or along the equator, where you get more activity because, again, those tidal forces. I'm not sure. It's possible. I'm going to try and break some of this down with some more of our dark. I'm going to maybe connect these two areas together. And then as well, we have a bunch of sharp edges here. We're going to take some of those edges down. That'll be with our blending brush. There we are. It's the pizza planet. It's the Nurgle world. You can just about any name would apply to this. So many fun colors, so many fun possibilities. Alright, we'll keep going with some darks around this. Let that work its way into this sort of mid-tone. And here, let's do a little bit more of our smaller volcanoes here. And then come back with a blending brush and can tone some of those down. And it's almost like I've created some little halos here for potential other volcanoes without even realizing. So just throw some dark in there. Alright, well, Dano, it was really nice to see you again. And of course, Dano, if you want to post your links one more time before you head out to your Cults 3D, that'd be sensational. Again, sorry that I didn't shoot you an update sooner, but we never quite know what's going to happen next, do we? It's always kind of a mystery. And then good luck with everything there, and of course, happy holidays if we don't see you before then. More of our darks here. Get really, really tiny little. We could almost do a spatter or something like that. We have spatter brushes. Taking the craft brushes that are really beat up, mostly destroyed, and cutting off a lot of the bristles and turning those into some spatter brushes. We use it all the time when we're doing our vehicles. Speaking of which, now I just printed out another vehicle. You'll be seeing some spattering going on for sure. Well, that's good, Chaco. I was hoping that would be the case. Yeah, look at that. See a little bit tap, 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 and see, it almost kind of turns a bit greenish. That will be the yellow mixing in with, in this case, the Mars Black, which in this case is kind of acting as our blue. So yeah, Chaco, the violet, the violet, of course, when we mix the violet with the radiant green, we get that radiant gray that I joke about all the time, because purple and green make gray. And it's a much more interesting gray than just the dead, stupid grays that you get that are just literally white and black mixed together. The radiant green, radiant violet makes a fantastic gray. The radiant magenta is, and even the violet, they're handy in skin tones. Obviously, the radiant magenta is going to maybe more for things like cheeks, right, where you want some rosiness. The radiant violet's going to be more handy in areas where you would want it to be grayed down a little bit, right? Some of the, like the forehead, some areas of the chin, areas that would just not naturally be very rosy. Kago did a purple gray. So Kago Miss Fury, it's the ultimate gray, isn't it? It's the ultimate gray. Arid, we just got back from game night. Everybody please give Aridican Wife a follow, and thank you so much for the bitses. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Everybody please give Aridican Wife a follow. And of course, Arid, if you want to post your fabulous Pinstagram links, that just never gets old, does it? Now this will have to be painted again because this is too much fun. Io? Oh, I mean, I knew it would be fun. I didn't think it would be this much fun. This has been an absolute blast. In fact, I think this is going to have to be a tutorial video. You think I'm joking? I did do one of these as a tutorial video for the Patreon page last year. Don't think I won't try it. I will, because now I have a painted example that I can show. Yes, indeed. That is going to be... well, let me see. Yeah, I have Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yep. One of those 3 days, we're going to be filming a tutorial video on this. Because it has to happen. This is way too much fun. So yes, everybody again, please check out Aridican Wife's work. There also Kagome's Fury. Also check out Kagome's Fury. Yeah. Let's just do some more these smaller dots here, which again I'm gonna hit those with the blending brush so they're not quite as hard edges. A few more down here. Yeah, we're missing a bunch of those down here. So some fun times here. Let's take our blending brush to this area. Been waiting a while. And you'll see we don't entirely wipe this out, do we? But see how it's a bit softer now. It's not quite so pronounced. That's what we're going to do up here. Like so. And the same over here. Let all these guys get sort of blended together. Throw some more of these little smaller craters in a few areas, or volcanoes, sorry, caldera. So yeah, Chocobo, I think you'll enjoy those because they're so multi-purpose, multifaceted, multi-purpose. They do so many things. I've even used. Let's see, oh, here we go. I know I've used it with brown matter. So here's a bunch of your radiants, right? And so there's your radiant yellow mixed with a Williamsburg burnt umber. You can see it's kind of an interesting yellowish gray. Look at, there's the violet. There's your violet, and look at that, nice, almost like a skin tone for, say, like a, I don't think Mediterranean, but close to that. And then look at this, another interesting gray. It almost starts looking a bit greenish there, and then there's your greenish gray. That's just the radiant green mixed with that burnt umber. So yeah, those things really do provide you with a bunch of different options. The other nice thing is that extra bit of fairy dust that they have, which means they actually help other colors to dry just a little bit quicker and a little bit more matte. Don't ask me why it does that or how. We have not been able to figure that out. It just does. It just does it. We don't know the how or the whys. First I thought maybe there was either no linseed or just less, or no safflower oil, and it turns out some of them I think do have safflower oil in them. We have not figured out exactly the why, but we know it does. It has magical properties. Totally magical. Now, we did some of these darks here. We're going to soften that, and then start to soften some of this. We're not going to wipe it away. No, not at all. We're just looking to, again, soften some of those edges. Same on these guys. Like so. Same here. No, yeah, we're not going to forget this. I think that's going to mix with our yellow and again kind of create an interesting little greenish tone. Same thing. Yeah, all of these guys here, we're just going to tap on those. And now they have a little bit more of a smeared look to them, not quite like a precise hard dot anymore. That's why I make them a little bit smaller, because they get expanded out a little bit when you do this. That's kind of the idea behind it. Just a beat up nasty old craft brush here. Actually is some fairly detailed stuff, isn't it? Fairly detailed stuff with a beat up junky old craft brush like that. Certainly saves your more expensive snazzy brushes. Makes those last a little bit longer. Those are not cheap. Do what you can with the cheaper brushes. Now that the key is, of course, we don't want to do this straight away. We don't want to put down those little dots and then immediately break out this brush to manipulate those. We want to let them set there. 10, 15, 20 minutes would be best. See, now those, again, we can even use some of the paint that's deposited on here and travel those around, do some little ghost caldera. And there's some of the fresh ones we put down here. Again, had to wait. Don't be hasty. I think these guys, we already hit those. Yeah, there's one. So we're just taking, again, just bringing some of those and toning them down, because we would really like these larger areas, right, to have more of the interest. A little more of our tap here. Liking that. So that really intense yellowish orange that you see there, that wasn't at the start. We had much more bland colors to begin with, and then we sort of intensified those along the way. Now here, this is an area where I had to kind of wait a bit. We've given that at least about 45 minutes. About 45 minutes to set up. There we are. Doing the same thing like we were just doing with these darker black dots. Thanks, Irid. It's been a long time since I last tried doing some 2D paintings of Io. This is certainly way more fun because, well, we didn't have, when I was last painting this, did not have the same images that we do now of Io for sure. So kind of using some updated imagery. And ironically enough, during the last treatment session, when the battery on the portable DVD player died, we were watching some of those Simon Whistler geographics. And one of the ones we watched was on Io. Because I knew eventually I wanted to try painting an ornament, and I thought, well, if I could also have whatever of latest info, because I think he did that only a few months ago. Well, maybe we could also do a little bit of an astronomy lesson at the same time, because, well, why not? Now, this is going to be interesting. I want to see, because we softened that up. I want to see if I can't, with our blue here, see if we can have a couple little tendrils of something. Well, we're getting close. There's surface tension. You only got 3 more days. And of course, that's our wedding anniversary is the 21st. Because, well, that's the longest night of the year, the winter solstice. I thought that would be a very interesting, fun day. Now here I'm just kind of manipulating this, almost semi-invisible little channels here, having that work its way out into the yellow. Thank you so much, Obi Mall. Appreciate that. I have to say that that's another little kind of hidden thing that I did not expect from the oils. That they would actually make doing the detail stuff that much easier, because you can get the oils are thinner than water, so you can really do some small stuff. I mean, even here with some of the little freehandy type things that we've done, I mean, whether it's an ornament or on a banner or whatever, it's that ability to be able to push the stuff around, manipulate it after the fact is really very fun. Oh, thanks Surface Tension and Grand Oracle. Now, here we go. So see these spots right here? See how some of them are almost non-existent? The same thing that we've been doing on here with some of these Caldera is the exact same thing we did on this bust. Now, if you want to see that, all of those and the Space Marines that I showed you, everything is saved as a highlight here. Some of them also ended up on the YouTube channel where I kind of cut them down a little bit time-wise. But if you want to see some of these things, again, you can check them out all as highlights. I save every single episode. I don't know if other Twitch streamers do that. I swear I might be the only Twitch streamer literally in the world that saves every single session as a highlight. I hope that Twitch never realizes that I do that. Because if they did, they'd say, oh no, he can't have that. Grand Oracle, it's so much the truth, right? It's true capillary action. And of course, I mean, we've done that here. We've certainly utilized, this was all painted with oils, 100%. Even this right in here, I just took some of my lighter oils, and then we just did a ball pin line wash there, and that kind of created almost like a sand effect there. Same thing here on the running gear. And this was all done with the oils as well. whether it's the object source lighting or all of our mud effects, all done with the oil paints. Let me see. So thanks to everybody for the anniversary wishes, and of course, Grand Oracle, you brought up the next thing, right? You don't like something, you just wipe it away. And if you look at some of those older episodes and you see me like say, you know, that freehand's not exactly where I want it to be, and I just sort of wipe it away and start over again. Yeah, so surface tension, I mean, do you think people do that at all? Because I know it's not that it's a pain, right? Because I do a thumbnail and I do the synopsis and everything, but I do that for every single one. Actually, I did a couple of highlights right before I started the stream here, or sometime during the day. I turned a couple of past sessions into highlights. It's just when I first did those, I thought all you could do was just like 15 minutes or something, or 5 minutes. Didn't realize you could do the whole darn thing. So that's at a certain point, that's when all the highlights become full-on episodes. I did try doing the saving Twitch sessions to basically little categories, but those don't work very well. And I don't even think people know to search categories, so I'm not going to bother wasting any more time on that. Yeah, surface tension, I'm pretty sure that most people don't know about it, because the only reason I found out about it was I was watching Twitch training videos, just like I did with YouTube, to learn what the click-through rate and the views per, or is it the not views per million? So it was, I think, CPM. There was CT. Click the CTR. There was CTR, and then there was the other rate. It's like an alphabet soup of YouTube, and of course doing thumbnails and keywords, almost kind of like eBay. Thumbnails and keywords. Oh, look at that! Some little shadows around those caldera there. I just thought, well, okay, if I'm doing it, everybody must be doing it, and I guess nobody is. Believe it or not, I know some people would say, oh, nobody watches those. And I'd say, yeah, this one's got 200 views on it, as in after the session. So this is not 200 session views, this is after it becomes a highlight. I've got some of them with I think one of them has about 1,300 views or something. As just a Twitch highlight. Alright, see that now? Why am I using blue there? Why we have all this orangey yellow, using a little bit of this blue as a bit of a caldera highlight coat. That's it's going to make that stand out, isn't it? Again, that is the radiant blue and a smidge of the turquoise. And now we're going to let this get a little bit swirly right here. So all these tiny little channels that we're putting in here, well, guess what? Not going to do those straight away, right? We're going to do all the other stuff first. I told you that was going to be after we did all the orange or yellowy orange there, that was going to be the next thing, was work out whatever little infinitesimal details we're thinking we might want in some places. Now, oh, that's fantastic, surface tension. I really do hope so. I know it's a little bit weird, maybe watching a session and you're hearing the chat, you're hearing me address the chat and stuff. It has to be a little weird sometimes, but hopefully it's still got some useful info. So see what I did there? I just took this brush. It's the same kind of stuff we do for painting marble. Same kind of stuff. So every so often when I get a chance, not as often as I used to, but I try to take some of the Twitch sessions that are maybe a little shorter and then try and shorten them up even more. And then try to turn them into a bit of a YouTube channel where we maybe cut out some of the raids or maybe, well, sad to say, some of the puppet shows so that it's mostly focused on the painting aspect. Boy, I'm really able to get some of that blue in there. I was hoping to, and it looks like we're able to. Now again, see over here, some of these little small color, we're going to just hit parts of them, not the whole thing. But just tiny little parts of some of those. Because why not? Let's do some of these guys, especially here where we've got all that yellow around them. Do more of that down here. I mean, I guess for other folks, maybe if they're just playing a game or they're just assembling some miniatures or whatever. I suppose because these are all start to finish, right? Anything that gets underway here, we keep working on it till it's done. So I guess that's another reason why they're a little bit handier for things like highlights. It just occurred to me now that's not something you see on a lot of channels either, is it? The linguistic gold that you see here in puppet shows, those don't happen pretty much anywhere else. But yeah, I don't think you really see things go from start to finish either, and I keep forgetting about that. Ah, boy, that's some really fun blue right in there. Look at that. Yes, the Silly Marillion lives on here in Wappleville, of course. Like I said, we pitched it to Amazon. They could have gone with that. Would have been a lot cheaper. I would have settled for a quarter bill or something like that. That would have been all right. They wouldn't have had to go all the way to a full $1 billion. We would have handed them the first, I don't know, 2.5, 3 seasons for that much. Then said, all right, it's yours now. You have to finish it off. But yes, the Silly Marillion lives here. Of course, I'm thinking Sauron would see this. He'd say, dude, that's too much even for me. Now, I did print out, was it one of those clay cyanide Sauron figures? Of course, it was a perfect print, and then as it was still all together on the build plate slipped out of my hand, and of course all the weight fell on one part of it, which broke that off. Yeah, Chocobo, I understand. Of course, I mean, if we have limited time to watch things, for sure. But I would see those, because I was watching them, when I was first doing vehicle painting, right? Trying to, with the oils and stuff. And I was trying to figure, and everything was speed ramped, like you say, and it would be 5-10 minutes long. There was no real voice saying what the heck was going on at the same time. Yeah, so it was the only time I'd ever actually done that. Now, of course, it did fall onto a big pile of wet paper towels. So it softened that, but it was just a one piece, and I thought, okay, I don't have to deal with it. And it was with the gray resin, right? The whole idea of the gray resin is to not be snapping those things off, but yet we still managed that. Oh, yeah, surface tension, I think actually if I had just grabbed 4 or 5 other books, just random other books of any kind, and just tore some pages out of them, it probably would have been more lore accurate than that, wouldn't it? Now again, it wasn't like it was dropped from 3 feet or something like that. By dropped, I meant it was dropped about a half an inch. And again, onto some soft paper towels, but it was just heavy enough, and it was like Sauron's finger, which then that one snapped off. So yeah, it wasn't any big drop or anything like that. It was just enough to unfortunately take off that one tiny little finger. Now again, now boy, these things here, this has been really fun. Because at first, when that was all just the wet paint there, it was being really ornery. Now we have all kinds of fun things going on here. So this should make for a really fun tutorial video. I just wanted to see during this session here, how does it play out? Does it really work? Are there some good lessons? Oh yeah, I think there's some good lessons in here, wouldn't you say? I think this would make a very valuable video. Yeah, well, Grand Oracle, the mischievous bit is that it hasn't been cured yet. And if I had a nickel for every time I lost one of those bits, either during the curing stage or afterwards when I've just got them in a bin somewhere, oh my gosh, I've lost so many of those. It just happened to me, I don't know, last month or something. That's another reason why I'm switching to the gray resin, because all of those horses' feet and other things that keep breaking off with this smoky black, I keep losing those. So I think, you know what? No more of that. No more of that. Well, look at this. Look at this. Again, some further, basically, to get some of these color and then spreading out some of the flow, some of the spray that comes out here. Thanks, Grand Oracle. Definitely got to do some film noir. I might even film part of that video in film noir. I've done it before, especially on, say, object source lighting videos. Now let's get a couple of lights down here. We don't want to just focus all up there. Let's get some lighter stuff going on down here. Like so. Maybe even a little bit right there. Where are you, Mr. Blending Brush? There you are. It's like we're putting a little hat on this guy. And that little bit, we're left with some of our light there. Boy, it almost feels like stealing. Well, we are stealing. We're stealing time. Generally, we do things that take way too much time, right? Or just want to soak up all of our time. This is one way to claw some of that time back. Yeah, you want some of that. You want to steal that time back. This is one way to at least reclaim some of it. Because too much time gets stolen away from us by stupid things. Why don't we grab some of that back? The fun, easy way with the oils. Oh, and by the way, as an ornament that might, get knocked around on a tree, not necessarily by a cat climbing the tree either. The oil paints are going to be far more durable, but if you want to do a little extra, the Army Painter Anti-Shine, just brush it right on. Good to go. Don't slop this stuff on there. Just kind of brush it on there sparingly. And that will give you a resoundingly resilient paint job there. Because plenty of folks have used the oils on their miniatures and they've all said, wow, man, I try to scrape the paint off of there and I can't. I just keep thinking of how many folks they constantly either have to repaint miniatures or fix up things. Oh, actually, hey, Grand Oracle, how has that worked for you? Actually, I know a couple of people have done it. I know there was at least two other people that they've done the airbrushing thing. How do you like that? And I guess what's some of the bigger things that you've airbrushed it onto? Yeah, what's on like a vehicle or something like that? Maybe something Predator or Rhino sized, Land Raider sized. But if that's been successful for you, definitely let folks in the chat know, because I've been asking around to see who's done the airbrushing of the anti-shine to see if it works or not. But it's definitely, if well, terrain, terrain, or something big like a vehicle or a bus or something like that. If you want to hit it with the airbrush, that ought to work. Now I don't know if you did it straight just from the anti-shine bottle, or if you added a little bit of your own water to thin that down to get it through the airbrush. I just remember when the question first popped up, and I just thought, oh yeah, I wonder if anybody's given that a shot. And can you just go straight up Army Painter anti-shine? Well, given the fact that when I was using the airbrush, 35 to 50 psi was kind of the norm, I'm going to say the Army Painter anti-shine would go right through that way. Now we're doing a couple more. Trying to hide a mold line right here. So let's distract the viewer with stuff. Look at that. Oh, look at all these little bright things going on here, right where the mold line is. Don't see that. So Chockaboo, there's a couple of different ways. You could, well, the way I just wash my hands with dish soap. That works really well. But this stuff is fun. Oh, look. Oils, also dried acrylics. It's not hazardous, no vapor, because your thinner is really not meant for cleaning brushes, right? You just want to thin your paints with it. That's why this is my high quality thinner. That's a water bottle cap. Seriously, that's all I've used for the last couple of days, this little tiny bit here. You use that Winsor Newton brush cleaner there, and added benefit, works for your acrylic brushes or your acrylic stuff too. So that works really well. That's not super expensive either. You need to test the clear coats for a particular airbrush. Okay. So again, that's the Army Painter Anti-Shine, but you don't want to put a whole big heavy coat of that on there. Ironically enough, it will just become Army Painter Shiny. That's not. I don't think that's the result you're looking for. So yes, don't end up with Army Painter Shiny. Put it on somewhat sparingly. Hard lesson learned. That is all coming to you as a lesson that had to be learned the hard way by moi. That would be French for I was the idiot that put too much anti-shine at once on one spot. So Chockaboo, I use it during my sessions as well. Don't have to use it too often, right? Because I'm not all the blending's happening here. There's very little mixing. This palette has actually been used now for 3 ornaments, and you can see there's still plenty of spaces left there. Obviously, this is where all the mixing happens, so I don't necessarily need to clean out the brush all that often during a session. But it's really amazing, handy stuff. And of course, with the bigger brushes, like where's my filbert? Here we go. So it makes absolutely short work of all that. No problem whatsoever. And then now again, obviously Kathy hasn't streamed since April, but well, she was using that same stuff on her acrylics, and it was working just fine with the acrylics. If I were working with acrylics, I would be using it on that too. Oh yeah, that's always fun. Grand Oracle for sure, definitely. Now the other thing too, again, with your, if you want to just clean the stuff off your fingers, Dawn gets through the grease. Simple dish soap. To the point where I'm constantly having to buy dish soap because I'm using it to clean my hands to get the oils off of them. Oh yeah, Chonkaboo, the thinner really doesn't do much of a good job on that at all anyways. And that's too pricey, because you're using the high quality thinner. The brush cleaner will, oh boy, it'll exponentially reduce the amount of thinner that you have to just kind of say goodbye to. And of course, the more pennies you can save, the more miniatures you can buy. And just expand on that pile of opportunity. As we expand on our lights down here, again, we want to get a few light areas down there. So see again here, you can, now of course when I'm doing my pre-glaze, this hand gets a whole bunch of spatter on there. Now you could just wear gloves if you want. We all have gloves and masks now. And I mean, all of us 3D printers certainly have multiple gloves and masks. I'm going to have to jump off here soon so that I can wash some resin. And so that can all dry. And I wear, what, triple gloves? Yeah, triple glove just to try and make sure that none of that gets at me. So you could wear gloves if you're working with the oils and you feel like I need an extra little bit of protection there, just wear some gloves. Heck, I see people wearing gloves with the acrylics all the time. Now, of course, those of us that do the 3D printing, we can run out of those pretty quickly, so we maybe are a little bit more sparing in what we use those on. Yeah, Chonkaboo, you'll be amazed at just how long your high quality thinner is going to last when you leave the cleaning of the brushes to that brush clean. It's really fantastic stuff. There, look at this. Look at that. Look at those fun little things going on there. It's really fun to have seen the photos of this and then try and make this come alive on a 3D surface. Well, Grand Oracle, as always, fill me in on your experiments. For me, obviously, with this, I'm sure it would be interesting. This dries or something, and people would say, "Oh, that must be airbrushed," and say, "Nope, just hairy sticks. That's all." But as always, well, that's what's made the Twitch stuff's so valuable, and everybody working with the oils, trying things out, and then letting me know what they find, because that kind of expands everybody's knowledge all at once, which that's a really cool thing. So again, because here all I have to do is slap it on, take another brush, push it around, done. No airbrush to clean out, no filter thing to have going. All right, well, Chonkaboo, you have a good one. And again, let's see, who is, okay, there's nobody. I got Zippo channels. If anybody knows of somebody that's doing some painting, and you could pop their name in the chat there so that I could pop that into the rating coordinates. We need to, again, it's already 2:30 here, and I've got at least an hour plus of resin washing to do. Well, Grand Oracle, given our current situation, I would not be able to use the airbrush, so it's a good thing back in 21, was it? Yeah, 2021. That was the last time. June of 2021 was the last time I used an airbrush. And well, it's a good thing now because I would not be able to use it. So that was pretty handy to find some kind of substitute for it. Mini Manty, thank you so much, Armored Wolf. I'm just going to copy that real quick here and try and pop that into the search function and see how that goes. Oh, there we go. So thank you very much, Armored Wolf. Thanks, Grand Oracle and Kegos. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the raid. Of course, thanks to everybody for all the follows, the subs, the cheers, the bits. That is appreciated. Thanks to everybody that has contributed to the fun there, of course. That's very helpful to us. And, of course, thanks to Armored Wolf for doing all the moderation and stuff. Armored Wolf has a ton of work to do also. So thank you so much, Armored Wolf. Alright, so there's IO. There it is. Well, that was just so much fun. Alright, thank you so much, Surface Tension. You have a good one. So here, we'll get our raid countdown started, because that takes about 20 seconds or so. Look at that. That was, we'll definitely have to do a tutorial video on this for the Patreon page, because, boy, it's really going to show a lot of fun, different aspects. So thanks again, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one.